Greetings, friends and family, and welcome to the Spectre of Truth Show. And I am
Black.
Yeah, we're back for another one, man. It takes a while to get all of this stuff together because it's a lot of research that goes into this information, and a lot of time has to be taken. But when I finally get it all together, it's good to be able to come back and kick it out to you all, man, so you can see what's going on behind the scenes. I get a kick out of it. I enjoy doing it. So it's good to be back. It takes a while, but I'm loving it. So, let me first thank you all for taking the time to tune in and to check out the information. All right. I want to thank everybody for coming in because there's a lot of things you all could be out here doing, but if you're sitting here watching this, then that means you're interested in getting into those higher levels and getting that extra information. So I appreciate that. Now, make sure that you subscribe and click the notification bell because this is actually the first class of a 3-part lesson. So you don't want to miss what's coming. So hit up that subscription and now, keep up with us. Now, I actually spent a lot of time contemplating exactly how to come at this one because it actually started off with me getting ready to go after that Woman King garbage. All right, I was getting ready to go in on it, and that's all the show was really going to be about. I already knew the movie was on some kind of old revisionist history bullshit. I knew they was changing it up and making it put out information that wasn't true. They literally just made that movie and just lied, okay? And I was getting ready to go in on it, but there was already so many people tearing it up that I was like, okay, cool. It ain't nothing left for me to say. Good. That makes my job easier. I can move on into other things. People were on that. They were on that movie tearing that up like butter on rice. They were on it. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, all right, I can move on. Okay. But then I saw a video clip from your boy Shuler King, the comedian. You all seen him, where he makes that. He's like in his car talking or whatever. Okay, so he had done one where he made a post praising it, and I was shocked. Like, how could you praise? I thought he was gonna tear it up, but he went in on it, man. He just was, it was great, and the acting was fantastic, and I was like, wow, this guy usually is in his car and he's like kind of making fun of people for acting a fool and doing stupid stuff, and he's on there kind of calling them out on it, and that's what his whole kind of thing has always been about. So I thought he was going to really go in and tear this up, but it was just the opposite, and he praised it and how great it was, and Viola Davis put her foot in it, and the acting was just phenomenal, and I was just shocked. And I'm sitting there watching that, and so I started to put some of his clips on here just so you could see, and I was like, nah, because I don't want his recommendation to affect anybody and make people actually want to go see it, so I didn't. It's basically putting another promotion for it on here, so I didn't want to do that. But he's going on about the acting, and I'm just sitting there like, huh? The acting, like, damn, man. What about the lies? What about the cover-up being perpetrated on the people? He threw all that to the side and just said it's a great movie, and talked about how exciting it was and how good the acting was, and he couldn't believe it. And I'm like, wow, is he really just gonna let this shit slide because it was entertaining, because it had an entertainment value to it? I don't know, man. Look, you can dress up a stinking pig's intestines with hot sauce, carrots, and butter, but it's still a pig's stinking shit covered intestines, okay? And if you eat enough of it, it'll kill you. All right. So that triggered me a little bit, and I was ready to really dig in on it, man. But as I started focusing on what I wanted to say, then you gotta start going down the rabbit hole, okay, and start to really look at, like I said, all these different angles. It's the angles that get you. It's not so much the overall topic. It's the angles that's attached to it. It's like going down the rabbit hole, and then it branches off this way, branches off that way, and then you go into all these different branches, and then this is the whole thing. So, in my mind, the breakdown started expanding. Okay, I'm thinking in terms of going in on this movie, and just other things started coming in, and it started to expand, and I knew that I was going to, if I was going to talk about the movie, I was going to have to go into dealing with slavery. And then it expanded some more, and now we got to talk about reparations. Then it expanded some more. Now we got to go into our overall status in this country. See what I'm saying? See what I mean? You know, and that's kind of how I do all of my work. I don't just go in and just. That's why I haven't put any like little 5-10 minute videos up, because that's enough time to go in and present an issue. You know, this is this and that's that. But it's not enough time to go in, check it out, look at it from different angles, and then present some kind of a possible solution. And to me, if you're not doing that, then it's kind of pointless. You know, maybe you just posting for hits and clicks and likes, and you know, you just trying to get that YouTube fame. Okay, that's cool, but you know, I really want to get some information out to the people. That's always been my whole objective. You know, so I may not get a lot of hits from it. I may not get that YouTube fame, get that little plaque up on the wall from YouTube, whatever. I may not get all of that, but I've always wanted to put this information out, you know what I'm saying, to the people. That's always been my main goal, all right? So what it comes down to is, the truth is that it's really just not about the woman king, and that's what it came down to. It's not about that. That's just a byproduct, okay? It's a byproduct of the bigger problem. It's a part of the bigger overarching agenda, okay? And that's what I want to shine a light on. That's what I got to go in on, is the whole thing, not just one part, okay? And the whole thing was so large that people can't see it, because it spans decades. It spans centuries. Is so huge. This whole thing is so huge that most of our people can't even comprehend the grand, all-encompassing scope of this thing. Okay, so this thing, quote unquote, this thing is what put Woman King out there. It's what created this, I guess you could say, this atmosphere, or this ceiling. They call it a glass ceiling that we all seem to kind of live under, and where it seems like you can only get so far before you start having problems. And so what people don't really talk about is, what is that ceiling composed of? What are we really dealing with? All right. So, and even I can only see really a fraction of it. I've really gone in, I've been doing a lot of work. I was doing stuff like this before this. All right. I started doing stuff back in mid-90s. I was doing little projects similar to this, but not on this scale. The equipment didn't exist back then. YouTube didn't exist back then. So I was putting little things together in my own way and trying to get in touch with people. And AOL was real big back then. So I was on AOL, I was talking to people then, and I was trying to, you could make your own chat rooms back then. So I was bringing people into chat rooms, and you know, we were trying to have discussions in there. And so I was already trying to deal with this stuff even back then on a much smaller scale. But I couldn't get it across to the people. Like, they were just sitting there just kicking it, having fun, hanging out, and the guys trying to hook up with the girls, and it wasn't the right atmosphere for it. You know, I couldn't get anything across to anybody because it just wasn't there. Maybe it just wasn't the right time overall. I don't know. But finally we can start dealing with some things. And even this environment is maybe still not even large enough to deal with what's going on, but it's a lot better than what it was. So I can get into some things here, okay? But as I say, I can only even just in a 2 hour, it takes 2 or 3 hours just to put an aspect of what this thing is out to you. I don't have access to any national secrets or access to whistleblowers or anything like that, okay? So the information I put out is based on my own personal research from back in that time period, okay, all the way up to today. And so this is what I'm putting out here is a culmination of that. So it ain't no secret, national secrets type of deal. This is stuff that's been out there, but people haven't paid attention to it. And I go get this and this and this and this, and then bring it all together. So I pick up on just like a few little dots here and there that I see along the way, and then sometimes I can connect a few of those dots and sort of see a bigger picture, and then show you that picture. But brothers like Dick Gregory, Malcolm X, and so many others, great ones that have come along before us, before me, and have tried to warn our ancestors, and they didn't listen. And they damn sure didn't learn. So fortunately, a lot of that information is still out there floating around in the ether. And if we're watchful and diligent, we can go get it and learn and grow and dodge some of the pitfalls where our ancestors failed. And that's something that is even taking us this long to admit, is that they did fail. That, a lot of the problems we're dealing with today was problems that had started back then, and they didn't take care of the problem. They were out marching around and protesting or whatever, and whatever. I mean, it didn't work because the problems are still here. So that's what I try to do, is to try to bring in this information to you so you can dodge some of this stuff, all right? And then I try to hit you on to some of what I found, some of these pictures that I've been able to put together from the dots, okay? And hopefully there's some others out there as well that will pick up on the information, make the proper adjustments in their own lives so that we can start moving forward again. So in other words, you take this information and don't just say, oh, wow, yeah, that's cool, that's interesting. No, you take it, incorporate it into your life, and then change your life based on your new information. And that's what it's really all about. That's what a lot of people haven't been doing. They watch the different things, people that's been out here, wow, that's great, that's cool, man, that's interesting, and we might even tell somebody else about it, but then that's as far as it goes. You have to take that information and then use it to change your life, okay? It's like somebody giving you a map through a minefield, and then you have to change your path based on the map. And that hasn't really been happening. We watch stuff, wow, that's cool, that's something, that's deep, and then turn it off and then go back to what you were doing. And that much has got to stop. So that these are problems at that point that you're bringing on yourself, okay? But if you take that information and use it to change your life, you can speed up dodging the pitfalls and start making moves and get way further than what you had would have been able to do by yourself and with your own understanding. So you got people telling you stuff. We giving you the answers. All you got to do is just take those answers and put them in your life and start using them to dodge, to duck and dodge and make some moves. So, that's all we could really do for you. Anybody that's out here talking and putting information out, you have to make moves based on that information, and your life will change almost overnight. It's real quick if you do it. So anyway, one thing I know for sure is that you know how people like to say that the real ones play chess, not checkers. Well, you can scratch that out, okay? Because most of our people aren't even playing checkers anymore, all right? They were at one time, back in the 1950s with Malcolm and Elijah and Farrakhan and the Black Panthers. Those brothers and sisters back then was bad, okay? They were playing chess. And actually, they got a lot of things moving in the right direction, and they made history doing it. Those brothers and sisters are now in the history books forever for the things that they've done. It didn't fix the ultimate problem, the things that they did, but they got a lot of stuff done in their time period, in their era. You know, you go back to the Panther, Black Panther Exposed video that I did 2 videos back, and I think it was number 4. And you go back and watch that one, the Black Panther Exposed, and you check that one out, and then I go deep in on how much the Black Panthers and Elijah Muhammad with the Nation of Islam, how much they really got done, how much they really accomplished in their time when they was out here running things. And it was heavy. So, you know, you can check that out. If you haven't seen it already, definitely go check that out. But it really gives you an understanding of how powerful and how deep those brothers and sisters went back then, okay? And it also makes you look at what's being done today and say, damn, we ain't doing shit. If you look at them to see what's going on today, they say, this is nothing. They were killing it, okay? So that's why they're in the history books, all right? So yeah, the ones out here today, though, they can forget it, man. They not playing chess or checkers. They playing hopscotch, okay? And that's about as deep as these brothers and sisters go today. Yeah, I mean, I know it's some heavy hitters out there, but they're too far few and in between to really make an impact like they did back in the 70s, okay? So, meanwhile, the so-called powers that be, we'll call them the PTBs, okay, the powers that be, they have actually upped their game tremendously, okay, because of the hardcore brothers and sisters of yesteryear. The PTBs have upped their game to make sure that they never have to deal with brothers and sisters that powerful anymore, okay? So the PTBs are no longer playing chess. That's an old saying, and they've changed the game. They ain't playing chess no more. They are now playing multi-level 4th dimensional Monopoly. Okay? They're playing on 195 boards simultaneously because there's 195 countries. And USA is involved in all of them on some level. So you playing on 195 boards simultaneously, okay? They're using millions of pieces on these boards. The game board has 15 million squares, and it takes them 4 to 6 months to make one move. All right? That's why you can't even see the game anymore. Because while you get bored and distracted in 5 minutes and change the channel, all right, by some bullshit on TV, whatever else may be going, somebody be talking to you, and in 5 minutes you bored and you back staring at the TV set, okay? So you have the attention span of a fruit fly, all right? But by the time you look back and see what they're doing, 6 months later, they 12 moves ahead. They've made, it didn't look like they was doing anything, but in 6 months they've made 12 moves, okay? And then you realize that 4 of your pieces are missing, and you didn't even know the game had started. See, you still over there playing hopscotch. See, that's how tight they got you locked in today. That's how tight they got their game up today. All right, they making moves you can't even see, and by the time you take notice that a move has been made, you missing 4, 5, 6 pieces, and didn't even know the thing was going. This is where it's at today. That's how strong they are. That's how tight they got you locked in on it. All right. So let me give you an example. I'm gonna start you off easy with just like a little lightweight one. Okay. Do you remember those old commercials? They were all over the TV in the 90s and the early 2000s, right? Remember it? Where they was talking about send us your old gold. Remember that? Check it out.
Do you need spending money fast? Bring in your old or unwanted jewelry or scrap gold to the Pawn Shop on Cove Road today for fast cash. The Pawn Shop on Cove Road pays top dollar for all jewelry, broken or not. Big pieces, small pieces, bracelets, necklaces, charms, rings, class rings, earrings. If it's gold, we buy it. If you don't want to sell it, we'll even loan you money on it. Turn your scrap or unwanted gold into cash today at the Pawn Shop on Cove.
Now, how many of you sent these sneaky bastards your old jewelry and your old gold? I remember when it was going on. I remember when they started. And I was sitting there watching it like, oh, what? You know, and I remember we all have had, and our parents had, and grandma had jewelry that they never wore anymore because it was old. You know, it went out of style. It was like a little brooch or something that went out of style, or some rings that was old, maybe an old wedding ring or something that, you know, they wasn't even with the man anymore, okay? These commercials were on 20 times a day, and people fell for it, and they sent grandma's old jewelry in. And they were complaining because they were only getting back 10, 20, or maybe $50 in exchange. And if you wanted to participate, they would even send you a padded envelope. You know, it's real professional, real nice about it, you know. And they make it easy and convenient for you, and you can put your old gold in the mail and send it back to them and just wait for your check to show up, okay? So some people would only get $20, some people got less. And then when they asked why, they were told, well, the necklace was broken, or it wasn't real gold, or it was only 14 karat gold, so it wasn't worth much. Then they were like, oh yeah, well, it was broken. Yeah, you know, that's true. Yeah, that was broken. It wouldn't worth anything. You know, that was grandma's old necklace. You know, yeah, that had the clasp was broken on the back. So yeah, I'm glad they took it out. Just tired of looking at it. Are you all crazy? You all couldn't see through that shit? Man, these commercials used to burn me up because I was real young back then, but even then I knew it was a scam. I didn't know what the scam was. I just knew because the commercial came on so much, and the guys was talking fast or whatever, you know, and then sometimes when they had a beat behind it, all right, and anytime they put a beat behind the commercial, I knew it was being geared towards black people. All right, and McDonald's does that. All these fast food joints do. They play the commercial and then they put a beat behind it, and then you know that's for you. All right, that's for you. We got that little beat in there. Go buy this, you know. And then they show all the black people on the screen, hip hopping and swerving and pop locking and going on. And, you know, that means this. We got the beat. You got the black people on here pop locking for a hamburger. That's for you. So you come on down and get your burger. And or send us your old gold, and we'll take care of you.
You need some extra cash? You got some old jewelry, broken chains, or some orphan earrings that you can't find the match to? Go check out my partner Stan at Stan Jewelers, located at Stan will buy your gold, silver, platinum in any condition, and he will even buy sterling silver flatware, vintage estate pieces. You need watch batteries? Stan got you with any watch battery you need. Need your jewelry clean? Go holla at Go see them today.
All right, so it never dawned on us, what difference does it make if the damn necklace is broken? It's still gold. That never even registered with people. It's gold, and it's got diamonds in it. See how they got you? Just one word. They just put one word in front of it. Old. And all of a sudden you're lost and confused. So you mean society is really at a point where some slick talking hustle man can call it old, and all of a sudden millions of mindless sheep start mailing their old gold and broken jewelry in to these scammers in exchange for a few bucks. That's just absolutely amazing to me. I'll tell you exactly what happened. These fools thought they were going to repair and then try to resell it. And they said, well, it probably ain't worth nothing. They only gonna get a couple dollars. If I can get $10, $20 for it, that's all I would have got if I had sold it myself anyway. So, you know, let them deal with it, and then I don't have to be bothered with it. But I wouldn't even got that much with it being broken. Okay, so you just left it sitting in the drawer every day, and it was just a relief to get rid of that thing and get it out of the house. So y'all mail it in for a quick $10, $20 hit. But let me show y'all what the Monopoly masters really do with your old gold.
This gold bar will consist of all types of jewelry, including gold grills, Cuban necklaces, and even diamond rings. First, we'll start off by removing any large diamonds and gemstones from the jewelry. We add each piece in one by one to ensure a full, even melt. Gold is extremely ductile. A single ounce of gold can be stretched into a gold thread that's 5 miles long. We use a carbon graphite rod to stir the gold. You're probably wondering what that white powder was. That's borax powder, and we use it to remove impurities from the gold. Pure 24 karat gold is so soft that it can be scratched with your fingernail. You can even tear it with your hands. The dirty metal on the end of the rod is called slag. This is what the borax powder creates when it cleans the gold. We use caution when handling the mold because it is still subject to the intensive temperatures from the gold bar. And there you go, our 1,000 gram finished gold bar. And since we used a mixture of metal on this, it's going to be a mixed carat. Let's go x-ray it and find out what it is. Notable people such as kings and queens have been adorning themselves with gold for over 5,000 years. After these procedures, we'll send our gold bar to one of our partners at a refinery. They'll take the gold bar and they'll turn it into pure 24 karat gold using an extensive chemical process. It'll end up looking pretty much like this pile of 24 karat gold beads once it's been purified and tested for quality. This makes the metal easier to manage when forging all sorts of jewelry, like these yellow, white, and rose gold cross pendants. Or even this 3D printed prototype ring that's coming up. Stay tuned for next time where we're going to show you how to...
Now, how much is that block of gold worth that he's got there? Well, the current price of gold right now is $1,660.88 per ounce. Let me show you how much an ounce is. Okay, you're looking at over $1,600 right there. Okay, now look back at the gold block that he made. All right, see, he said that was 1,000 grams of old gold, which he melted it down to a gold block that was worth $30,000. That's more than most people make in a year. All right, he made it in an hour or two with your old gold. There's your white supremacy right there. White supremacy is nothing more than black ignorance. People just sitting around dumb as hell with no knowledge whatsoever, falling for every trick and trap that they throw at you. They're running circles around you intellectually, and they're not even trying. This is just little silly baby stuff that people are just falling for. Not some big elaborate scheme. Just call your gold old and offer you paper money for it, and boom, you can't wait to get rid of it. See? Easy. That's not heavy duty, complicated stuff. Now, if you really had your head on straight, you would be collecting your own old gold and learn how to test it and make sure it's real. Then learn how to rate its purity, just like they do. You'd learn how to refine it, just like they do. Dig this. A little melting furnace like he was using only cost about $250. See? $250, and you could have done the same thing that he did. And you'd be sitting at home making gold bars just like them. I mean, granted, it's dangerous. You're working with molten metal, and a lot of people are not intelligent enough to be messing with that kind of thing. All right. You know, if you drip some on your shoe or get it on your hand, you're in bad shape. You're gonna be in a bad situation real fast. So you can't make any mistakes with it. But that doesn't mean you can't learn how to do it. They've been doing it for generations. The ones that are doing this, they had to start somewhere. They had to learn how to do it. At some point they didn't know how to do it, and they were working with dad. Usually, you know, look, now we see that rabbit hole, and then it branched off. Now we talking about the dad. The dad was into this kind of thing. The dads were skilled workers. The dad had crafts. They were craftsmen, okay? Architects, engineers, all right? And they knew how to do something. Everybody had some kind of skill. And then they would have their children, and then they would teach the child how to do it. So you had less of a chance of something disastrous happening, like dripping molten metal on your shoes or something like that. And they also had the right equipment, because like they have today, steel-toed shoes. So you might wear something like that, you know, to protect your feet. You know, so now you got a steel covering over top of your toes. So if you did drip something, it's not going to just, you know, destroy you. You know, just carry your feet up. But there's ways to do it. There's things you could do if you wanted to get into this kind of dangerous work. So it's high risk, but it's got high kickback. All right. And again, you know, if you don't do it, then you put a glass ceiling over yourself and say, I will only go this far because I'm afraid of what might happen if I go beyond it. Okay, so you limiting yourself. White people don't really put limits on themselves like that. They do anything to get what they want. All right, so automatically that gives them supremacy over anybody who's afraid, over anybody who says I'm only going to go this far and then I don't want to deal with nothing else because I don't know what's out there and I don't want to hurt myself. Well, anybody that goes beyond is supreme over you. See? So you could get somebody in your family to do it who is responsible enough and who is intelligent enough to handle it. And now, and that was something else that they did. Everybody couldn't do everything. All right, so they would get the ones that could do it, the ones that had that mindset and say, okay, you go do it. I know you can handle it. You smarter than me. And people used to they weren't ashamed to say that. You're smarter than me and you're faster, you're stronger, whatever. You know, you better with your hands and stuff. I want you to start trying to get into that. See what you can do with it. And then that person might go over there and master it. And now you have somebody in your family that's making molten gold. You're coming out with these little gold bars and ingots. See what I'm saying? So everybody can't do it, but somebody can. And that's where people are missing out because you're not putting the right people in your community into the right places and then capitalizing on different people's skills and abilities. And you're not raising your children up to be geniuses. You're raising your children up to where they want to cut their genitals off and wear a dress and it's a little boy. And so you got them doing things that's going in the opposite direction from productivity and creative geniuses. You see, you fell for it, man. Y'all swallowed the rainbow Skittles and y'all fell for it. So that, again, that's where they got you. So anybody that can trick you like that, they're supreme over you. But it's not that they're better. They put something out there and then you just fell for it. That's your ignorance. They don't even have to be that smart to trick people like that. You just throw something out, just old gold, boom, and you give it away. That doesn't make them necessarily a genius. It just makes people who fall for it kind of dumb or real dumb. Okay, so but if you can get somebody that has the mindset to handle these types of activities, all right, now you start to move up a little bit and match pace with the real ones. See what I'm saying? Get people that can do it, and everybody can't run the race, but you got a runner somewhere, and you go get your runners and put your runners in the race, and then let your top runners run. See what I'm saying? You don't take your top runners and put them in a warehouse and force them to unload trucks all day. All right, you take your runners and put them on the track. If they want to run, let them run. If they want to build, let them build. See what I'm saying? If they want to play the piano, let them play the piano. Y'all are stopping people from doing what they were made to do, and this is holding your whole community back and blowing everybody out the water. Now you're just standing around lost and confused. And the other ones, the real ones, they out there blowing up. Got your old gold, making $30,000 an hour. See? Look how easy it was. You got to take note of how he did that. Look how easy. Go back and play it back again, man. And look how easy that it was for him and so many others that do that to make that bar. And the ones that was around him, notice, they weren't even paying him no attention. He's going back and forth and he's doing this important, and they just walking past and they didn't even say hi to him. It's like he wasn't even standing there. This wasn't special to them. For us, it would be like, oh my God, For them, it was just like they didn't even say what's up to him. He was in the way. Move, man, go out the way. They so used to it. But we sit up there looking like let somebody in our house make a block of gold like that. We flipping out. That tells you the level that they want, to where somebody can be sitting there holding a $30,000 block of gold in their hands, and nobody pays them any attention. See the levels? There's levels, man. See how high up you have to be to where that doesn't mean anything to you. See? That lets you know where you at just to look at that. All right. It didn't even look like he got his hands dirty doing it, and boom, 30 G's in a few hours. This is how they stay on top. Knowledge. They never stop learning. They never stop experimenting, and they never stop trying new things. They will risk their lives to get what they want. See? Now, what I find is that white people don't operate as individuals. They operate with a kind of a hive mind. All right? So somebody may say, oh man, you crazy. But it's been proven over and over. If you stop and if you attack one, they all come at you. That's a hive mind. Stick your finger down in the anthill. It ain't one ant that's gonna climb up and start biting you and swarming all over you. All of them come up and start swarming all over you. And you go back and look all throughout history. Our ancestors were never dealing with just one or two. They were dealing with fleets of ships coming and landing on the shores. All right, taking over and setting up shop, and it was almost nothing you could do to stop them. It was too many. Even when they wiped out the first ship, another ship, 2 ships came. They wiped out those 2 ships, and then 3, 4, 5 ships came. And eventually, they ran out of soldiers and warriors because it was just you're going to lose some in a battle. And then they keep sending ships over filled with 20 or 30, 50, maybe 100 men on each ship. And eventually, you just wear them down, and that's the end of it. You know, now you living in a land named after the one that just landed there yesterday. See? So that's a hive mind. All right. You look at what's been built out here. No one person did it. They were climbing all over those buildings and structures and houses like ants, and everybody was doing something different. Everybody was working together almost like an orchestra to create that building or that structure. See, that's like a hive mind. All right, and a lot of us out here for self. We don't really have other people that we connect to do anything. And when you try, a lot of times they just turn on each other. You know, you all have seen it, and so we call it crabs in the bucket. All right, so but they all work to make what they want a reality, and they never ever give up. All right. Then after 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, doesn't matter how long, eventually whatever they were trying to do, boom, it becomes a reality. And I'll give you an example of that. Check this out.
Also known as the Flying Tailor, Franz Reichelt was an Austrian-born tailor and inventor who moved to Paris and became obsessed with the idea of creating a suit for pilots which doubled as a functioning parachute that would allow them to escape a crashing aircraft unscathed. During his lifetime, he had witnessed the birth of powered flight in 1903. However, this new invention was still in its infancy and therefore tended to be unreliable, with aviators unlikely to survive any accidents. These accidents had led to a growing interest in safety measures, and there was a huge demand for the creation of a practical parachute. Early attempts at parachuting had utilized fixed canopy designs which were already open prior to jumping. However, such a design was simply not practical for use inside the tight confines of an aircraft cockpit, and a solution that was suitable for use when jumping from a plane at low altitudes was still lacking. Fame and fortune awaited anyone who would come up with a suitable design, and in 1911 a prize of 10,000 francs was offered to anyone who could create a parachute for aviators. It was against this background that Reichelt had begun working on a parachute suit, which was a suit that was supposedly similar in size and bulk to a standard suit normally worn by aviators. The suit contained a few rods, some rubber, and a silk canopy, which would fold out to hopefully become a usable parachute. Early testing with dummies using the silk wings had proved successful, however converting this design into a wearable suit proved troublesome, and further experiments would result in test dummies crashing to the ground. Reichelt blamed the failures on using a test platform that was not high enough, and subsequently applied for permission to conduct a test from the Eiffel Tower. He was finally granted permission to conduct a test using dummies on February 4, 1912, and announced to the press that he would finally prove the worth of his invention. He arrived at the tower already wearing the suit, and incredibly it seemed as though he was intent on testing it himself instead of using dummies. His friends desperately tried to change his mind, pointing to high winds as a reason to abandon his test. However, Reichelt was unswayable. In a further twist, he refused to use any safety measures, and in full view of spectators and journalists armed with cameras, he climbed to 187 feet and prepared to jump. He mounted a stool on top of a table and placed one foot on the guardrail. He hesitated for about 40 seconds, perhaps reconsidering his risky jump before leaping over. As he plummeted towards the ground, his parachute failed to open fully, and Reichelt crashed into the frozen earth at the feet of the tower, dying instantly and in full view of the multiple cameras pointed at him. His death was reported all around the world, where he was portrayed as a mad genius or simply mad. But why had he taken such an unnecessary risk? One of his friends later commented that he had felt pressured into giving a dramatic demonstration, so as to attract media coverage and sponsors, whom he would need the backing of in order to profit from the suit before its patent expired. Additionally, other inventors were already making their own tests with parachutes, and it's likely that he felt that time was running out.
Okay, so then you see that. Now then, jump ahead 106 years. 106 years later, using a very similar suit design, now they out here doing this. See? Y'all ain't fucking with none of that, man. None of it. On no level. Even if somebody gave you a chance and put you on a throne, how are you going to rule and control people with that kind of heart, that kind of determination and bravery, and your ass still scared of dogs?
No, don't. Get your ass.
See? That's white supremacy right there. You can never dominate anybody who is willing to take chances like that, and you're not. One mistake, and those guys would be nothing but a smear on the ground. Okay? But dozens of them are out there doing it, just for fun. You can never dominate that. See what I'm saying? Y'all scared of rats, but they keep them as pets and kiss on them and teach the rats how to do little tricks and stuff. All right? The first steel plant in America was built in 1870. That's over 150 years ago. That was the first steel plant. Okay. Would you go and apply for a job like this? You know how hot it had to be in there every day, all day. The heat, the sweltering, overwhelming heat, having to be covered up in protective gear all day so you don't get burnt. I had heard stories of guys that worked in those steel mills, and they were talking about how their arms were like almost cooked. The skin was like leather because their arms was exposed to that heat all day, every day. And people work in the coal mines and they inhale that black coal dust all day, every day, and they get black lung. Okay, and so it develops into a cancer. All right, and it just eats them up from the inside out and tears their lungs up. All right, and then their children grow up and they live in these little backwater, like rural communities. And the kids grow up, and so he said the fathers will take and teach the child how to work in the coal mine just like he did. See? So you know it's killing you, but you bring your children into it anyway. One, because that's how you eat, and two, because you know that the work still got to get done. Your community needs power and electricity, and the society, the nation needs it, and you all are one of the primary, or if not the only, provider of coal for the entire eastern region or something like that. So they're dedicated to the job. It's not just, I need money, that's part of it. But the other part is, they do it because they knew that it had to get done. See, that's that hive mentality. When they go and do what needs to be done, not just what they want to do. And that's the difference, and that's a big part of staying supreme. See what I'm saying? You willing to get out and stick your neck out and risk your life to get done what needs to be done, whether you personally want to do it or not. It needed to be done, so you went and did it. And that's what all these Superman and Batman cartoons and comic books are really about. It's people depicting characters, fictional, risking their lives to do something that needs to be done. Every book, every comic book is this character, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, whoever, risking their lives to do something that needed to be done. And even if it meant them getting killed or exposing themselves to death and danger every day, all day, they just keep doing it. And that's why Batman is so popular, because he doesn't have the abilities to, regenerate and fly and super strength, whatever, but yet he keeps doing it. Even though every time he goes out into the city, he's at risk of being killed that night, and he keeps doing it, keeps going. So that character is so popular because of that, more so than Superman, who's like basically invulnerable. It's got to be something different to really affect him. So his deeds aren't looked at as like, wow, that's also great. So that's awesome. That's amazing, because it's hard to hurt him. But Batman doesn't have that kind of protection. So I'm saying that to say the people who go out and risk their lives and do things like that are also the same people that created these characters. And they put these characters out, and these characters reflect, I guess you could really say, like their inner nature. It's kind of like really who they are. You're looking at them as, in a fantasy type setting, but they really are out doing stuff. Like you saw them in the wingsuits and shooting through the air, man. I mean, this is why these movies and comic books and things are so cool to us, because there's people that's not that far from it. It's believable that what we're seeing in the movies and comics could kind of be real, or we could come real close to it. And then we look at it because it's like, wow, I would never do nothing like that. It's hard for us to relate to that kind of thing. Putting on a suit and flying through the air like that, that's, hard for us to relate to that. So it's amazing to watch. But again, there's that supremacy. The ones that, you got ones that'll do it, the ones that won't. The ones that do it tend to usually dominate or rule the ones that don't. And then you have now the ones out there doing it are not ruling anything, but that mindset carries forward throughout the race. And so then you have the ruling class. And that ruling class, or they couldn't do it. You see the people who are in power, they don't have that kind of athleticism and that kind of bravery and that kind of heart. But if you mess with them, then they go get the ones that do it to come after you. See what I'm saying? So that's what I'm talking about. Mess with them, they're weak. There's nobody that I've seen in government that, just the ones up at the microphone that look like they could handle anybody out in the street. Okay, but they don't have to. They'll go get the ones that are out here flying on the wingsuits and bench pressing 1,000 pounds, and military soldiers just killed 1,000 people already in these different wars and stuff. Combat commandos, they go get them to come after you. They don't have to fight their own battles. They get them to do it. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. That hive mind. Mess with one, you got to deal with all of them. All right. So again, there's that white supremacy. This is what it's based on. All right. It's based on having your shit together and having your mind, in a progressive, forward-thinking position. All right. So, now back in these steel mills, the ones in these steel mills, they only make about 40,000, maybe 60,000 a year. Would you do that job for 40 to 60,000 a year? Hell no, you ain't doing that. We don't apply for jobs like that. Not usually. I had an uncle who worked in a steel plant decades ago, but he was in the offices. He wasn't out there doing that kind of thing, like what you just saw. Proof of which is that Africa never had an industrial revolution. You don't see big factories in Africa shooting smoke up into the air because they never built factories to manufacture their own textiles and refine metals and pull the ore up out of the ground with big heavy machinery. They never got into things like that. All right, Africa is the richest continent in the world in natural minerals, gold, diamonds, silver, rubies, right under their feet. But they never built factories and the equipment to pull it out of the ground. So many of them just sit on top of it and starve to death while they're sitting on a gold mine. All right, that gold mine it might be a gold mine in Africa worth billions of dollars, but they can't pull it out. They got this, so they never developed that technology. Okay. Then white folk come along and offer to buy the raw minerals. We'll look, you don't have to refine it and cut it. Give us the raw minerals, the raw diamonds, all right, that are worth almost nothing. You just give us those and pull it up out of the ground and give us that. So Africans, because they don't have the equipment, they send children down there and have them to use their bare hands to get the diamonds, to get the raw diamonds. And then they threaten to kill or cut off the hand of any child that they catch stealing diamonds and the minerals. All right? So that's why they're called, I don't know if you ever heard that term, blood diamonds. Because children are dying and they're losing their lives and they're losing their hands and feet. They're getting them cut off. If they think they don't even necessarily have to steal. If they think they stole it, they might still do it. They might still hurt you. All right? But they're losing their lives to get these diamonds. They take a little handful of coins at the end of the day back, to their parents and family or whatever, and then they might eat off of that. I don't know what the little chump change that they get off of it, if they get anything. Some of them might not get anything, but what can you buy with a little handful of coins? Okay, so they made a movie about this back in 2006. Called Blood Diamonds. All right. So then at the end of the day, They take that little bag of raw, you know, the big man, the one that was running, the manager, you know, I don't know what they call it, the overseer. I don't know what they call the guy that oversees all the children, but at the end of the day, he takes that bag of diamonds over to the man that's offered to buy them, the people that's into diamonds, okay, and he, you know, here, I got some diamonds for you, know, you want to buy these, you know, check these out, what will you give me for these? That little handful right there might only get that guy $50, maybe $100. But once they're cut, they'll be worth millions, all right? But neither the Africans nor hardly anybody else has the expertise and skill to take those rough, almost worthless stones and turn them into this. A few people do. The Jews do. They know how to do it. And that's where you get the name jewelry from. Because they've been cutting and polishing those diamonds and stones throughout history. That's almost always what they've done, is deal with the money changers, the banks, the jewelry, the diamonds, the gold. That's where their skills have been. That's what they've been dealing with, focusing on. Okay? People's last names usually come from their trade. So John Schumacher was a family of shoemakers. See? Henry Smith came from blacksmiths. Well, when you hear the name Goldman, Silverstein, Goldstein, those were Jews. And the goods that they made were called jewelry. Okay? So you got to wonder who's buying the blood diamonds that were harvested with child slave labor. Who's buying them? All right? I don't know who's buying them. I haven't sold any. But it's an interesting question, isn't it? You know, who's capitalizing and benefiting from child slave labor in Africa, and who's buying those raw diamonds and urging them to, you know, look, this ain't enough, man. Send them back out there, go get some more. These are, I give you $50 for these, and then go make millions. All right, but in that in that equation, who's really at fault? You can clearly see that once again, Africans are willingly exploiting their own people and willingly participating in child slave labor because they lack the equipment to properly mine their own resources, and they lack the skills to cut the raw stones into the valuable gemstones that you see at the store. So here you have another perfect example of white supremacy. All right, they make millions while you make pennies, and you make those pennies by enslaving your own people to get something, to get something that was rightfully yours, and then you sell it for a small profit while they use their skill. You use labor to get it. They use skill to cut it. You lack the skill, you're just labor. See? So you use labor and you get a little bit of money, and then they use skill and they get a lot of money. See? You can't do anything with it. If you had the raw diamonds before them, but you lack the skills, the knowledge, and the intelligence to capitalize on your own resources. See? So that's the game. You can see it now, right? It's a game. Don't get mad at the other players because you suck at the game and you keep losing the game. All right? And that's your fault. Because if you don't know how to play and you never develop the skills to play, get your skills up and become a competitor. All right? Get your skills up and you can do what they do. If you want to win, just stop losing. All right? As far as the winners of the game, they call the winners of the game racist. Well, maybe they are, but so what? This is something else y'all got to deal with, man. Who said that anybody had to like you? or had to like me or any of us. Grow the hell up, man. Look, ain't nobody gotta like your ass, okay? What the hell is wrong with you people that you feel like that somebody has to love you, they have to like you, they have to respect you, they have to talk to you a certain way? These people really, the people out here, they don't really want to be bothered. They just like, they doing their own thing. They're really not trying to be bothered with you. And then black folk like to come around and get up into folks' face and go up into folks' they get into their situation and then expect a certain high level of treatment. And when they don't get it, well, I'm gonna close that business down because they treated me like this, they did this, they did. If you had your own business, you wouldn't have had to go into his. See, but you go into his and expect him to love you and respect you and treat you a certain way and act a certain way towards you. Yeah, somebody can be decent towards you, and there's nothing wrong with being decent towards people, but nobody has an obligation to be decent to you or to love you or respect you and shake your hand and pat your back and welcome to the store. It's cool if you get it, but it's not an obligation. All right? And y'all say, well, I'm going to this store to spend my money. They're going to be rich whether you spend money in the store or not, man. The fact that he has a store and you don't, okay? They don't need you. You need him. So that's the other thing. Selling wolf tickets, man, acting like that you have some kind of power or control or authority to make people treat you a certain way because you spending money in their store. You was going in there to get something cost $15, $20, man. They don't need that. So we got to get out of this mindset where everybody has to respect us. Everybody has to love us. Nobody's allowed to not like us. All right. And you look on YouTube and you got these girls out here gang jumping people, man, and tearing up Walmart, tearing up McDonald's, tearing up Popeye's chicken, tearing up, man, they just out here tearing shit up, man. And then we walk into a store and wonder why we get treated bad because they saw the same video you did and now they didn't want to be bothered with you. There was a African man that just got beat to death by a bunch of Chinese. He was over in China and he was dating this Chinese woman, and some Chinese men caught him and beat him to death. And they told him while they was beating him that we don't want you messing with our women. Stay out of here. Stay away from us, man. Leave us alone. We don't want y'all around here. Okay. Well, why did they do that? Because we have a horrible reputation, and our reputation has preceded us on a global scale. All right. And even though the majority of us are not, it used to be a majority. I don't even know if it's a majority anymore now, but a lot of us don't act like that. We not out jumping on folks and hitting people over the head and causing trouble, tearing up restaurants. A lot of, we're not out here doing that. But there's a lot of us that are. A lot of us aren't, but a lot of us are. But the ones that are causing problems now for the ones that aren't. So it's up to the ones that aren't now to go and get the ones that are and straighten them out, because they are affecting our reputation globally. And I had talked to people about this before. I told you when I was doing this kind of work before back in the 90s and had mentioned this kind of a thing, telling people about, our global image. And they were, I don't care what nobody think about me. See, where did that come from? Okay, if you don't care what they think about you, but then you're upset when we go into a store and all the security cameras focus on you and the guards start following you around, but you don't care what nobody think about you. The way people think about you dictates how you're treated. All right, and if you don't like your treatment, you have to change what they think about you. And the only way you're going to change that is to go and get hold of the ones that's out here in the street. Those are your sons and daughters. Go out there and get hold of them and straighten them out. All right, get them together. And usually it's the father that has to do that. The mother doesn't have the spiritual authority. She can yell and scream and throw stuff around the house. She doesn't have the spiritual authority to straighten out anything. The fathers are going to have to straighten them out. Now, if he can't, and the father doesn't have access to his children, if he can't do it and doesn't have the mindset to do it, the mentality to do it, the intelligence to do it, then the world will straighten them out. And that's why you're starting to see an increase now on attacks of black women. They're being attacked more frequently now. They just go out somewhere and they just out there minding their own business, and somebody jump on them, and that's why it's happening. Okay, so if you can't straighten them out, somebody else will. They used to teach you this back in the day. This is old school, and you learned that back in the day. Today, people don't get it. So, we have to be honest. That at this point in time, black people are some of the most hateful, racist assholes on the planet. Black folk are mad at every damn body, and then upset and shocked when somebody don't like them. So you look at all the stories of black people attacking Asians right now for no reason. Now what the hell is that about? What did Asians ever do to black people? Okay, at no point in history did China or Japan or Korea or the Vietnamese ever go into Africa and start enslaving and attacking people. All right?
My conscience won't let me go shoot my brother or some darker people or some poor hungry people in the mud for big powerful America and shoot them for what? They never called me nigger. They never lynched me. They never put no dogs on me. They never robbed me of my nationality, raped and killed my mother and father. What, I'm going to shoot them for what? How can I go shoot them? Them little poor little black people, little babies and children and women. How can I shoot them poor people? That would just take me to jail.
Right? So most of you all don't even know any Asians, much less had an argument with one. So why would you attack them? All right? The only interactions that most of us have had with any of them is when you go into their shops and then they clean up your old nasty, rotten, crusty feet or paint those old, long, nasty ghetto claws that black women like to wear. But then Asians haven't done anything to you. They in there massaging your nasty feet and shape and chiseling the crust off of them. All right. So then you might catch one of them that say something about your nasty feet and go off about that. I understand what you said. I heard what you said, and look, if I had to deal with that mess, I'd talk about them too if I saw them. Okay. Nobody talks about us more than us. So now you mad at them because you caught on that they were saying something about you. Come on, man. You was just talking about somebody before you got to the shop on your phone. See, this is what I'm talking about. And people are not that dumb that they don't know it. They see what's going on. And they're tired of the treatment that black people have been giving people all over the place. People are sick of it. All right. Personally, me, I wouldn't even offer the service. I'm not touching your nasty ass feet. All right. So a lot of them, they go in and do it. Don't seem to have a problem with it. They get the little money off of that. But the question is still there. Why are so many of them being attacked by blacks now? So I remember being in one of those stores with one of my exes back years ago, and we left when some old little hood rat just started arguing with the little Asian woman, and she was just vulgar and vicious as hell, and it was really just almost demonic at just how she was screaming and cussing at this little Asian woman. And I don't remember what it was, but that woman hadn't done anything that was that serious to require that kind of treatment, and that girl is just screaming and getting up in her face. And I said, she's only doing that because the little Asian woman was only like 5'4" or something like that. She was a little small woman. And so of course now the black woman feels like, she's big and bad now. She was bullying her. See, that's demonic. That's demonic because there was nothing that she did to deserve that. And I forget, she didn't want to pay full price or something, or something silly that she was mad about. Just gutter shit, man. Just typical gutter shit. So you got to ask, what is this about, man? Are you mad because they own all those little corner shops in the black community? The Asians and the Arabs, and they go in there and they set up these little shops on the corner and they make money off of it. But if you had bought the empty store first, they couldn't have got in there and built anything. And you could have had a corner store. But these little stores stay empty and abandoned for years. Crackheads going in these little abandoned buildings and getting high and pissing on the walls and spraying graffiti everywhere. We've all seen it. We've seen how they do. Okay, you know it's true. All right, then some little Arabs or Koreans or Chinese will come in there, buy up all those little abandoned buildings in the area, and start selling Twinkies and potato chips and beer and hot dogs, and they make a fortune off of you. Is that what y'all mad about? Because they went and built something and did something that you couldn't do? You was living there before them. You knew about that building being empty before they did. Why didn't you build it? Why didn't you buy it and turn it into a little corner store selling some Twinkies and popcorn? See? Sometimes they might even sell you that tacky, overpriced jewelry. All right? They might sell you some of your own old gold back for 10 times the value. Because they melted it down. They had the skills and the knowledge to melt it down and turn it into something valuable, whereas you couldn't wait to get rid of it. That what y'all mad about? So now y'all mad and y'all want to run in there and start robbing the place and tearing it up. So you'd rather have a crack house there on the corner than have a store that was run by some Chinese people? See, you didn't build anything. That was your choice not to build anything. You don't have the skills to run a business. You never went to business school. You never taught us. You don't have to maybe you don't have to go to business school. Some people are good at business. That's just a part of who they are. You could have gotten online and looked up accounting, and you could have looked up real estate, and you could have looked up corporate real estate. There's a difference. You could have looked up the differences between those two. You could have looked up how to buy corporate real estate, how to get loans, how to qualify for loans. You could, instead of sitting around getting drunk and high and laying up having baby after baby that you don't want, you could have been online looking up these different skills, getting all that information and that knowledge, and then going to buy those corner stores in your area and turning them into something that could have profited you and benefited the entire community. But none of y'all wanted to do that. Somebody else will come and do it, and then you want to go burn it down. See? Then you wonder why your neighborhoods are all tore up. You tear it up yourself. You look at these rundown projects in it, you all did that. That's your fault. You could have cleaned it up. You could have bought the abandoned buildings and turned it into something, but you didn't. You threw trash in the street, you pissed on the walls, you sprayed graffiti over it everywhere. That's your fault. That is white supremacy. Because you were black ignorance. As soon as you pull yourself down, you automatically put them up. They don't have to do anything. They can just sit and go out on the golf course and just live their life and do their thing and go hunting and fishing and just live their life.
Yeah, bitch so bad I wanna shoot like hoops while I'm riding in the coupe. I got what you want, it ain't nothing but a loop. Don't listen to friends, they don't know what's best for you. I want you, yeah, bad I wanna shoot like hoops while I'm riding in the coupe. I got what you want, it ain't nothing but a loop. Don't listen to friends, they don't know what's best for you.
They don't have to do anything because you all will do everything that's necessary to crush yourself, to crush and destroy your communities, and to destroy your families and destroy your children. And all they have to do is just maintain and just live their life. And they automatically get put up into the position of supremacy because you are intent on destroying yourselves and destroying each other. That's white supremacy. Hard at work because they don't tear up their communities and they don't let their buildings become abandoned crack houses filled with graffiti and piss. All right? They don't have to tear up your communities. You tear it up. And in doing that, you make them supreme over you. Now their communities look like paradise compared to yours. But they didn't have to have anything to do with it. They just don't tear theirs up. They don't even go into your areas. You all over there yourself, just tearing your shit up. Handing out white supremacy tickets. Here you go. You want one? You are now supreme. Here you go. Handing out supremacy tickets. Here you go. You are supreme. You are supreme over me. I just burnt down this CVS over here. Here you go. You are now supreme over me and everybody in the community. Y'all handing out supremacy tickets. See? So This is your fault. All right. So every time you tear up some shit and piss in a corner or spray paint a wall, you're handing out another 50 or 60 supremacy tickets. All right. Then some of you all want to become political activists and decide that you're going to fix the situation. So you go out and start marching and screaming with the bullhorns, you know, and you get you done got a flag taken down, or you're going marching in front of the offices downtown because you want a statue or a flag or something else, another one removed. Okay, cool. So they finally take the flag down. Great, you won. You made them take that statue down. You made them take that flag off of there, and it's down. And it only took you 6 months of marching and protesting, but they finally took it down. And that statue and the flag that's down and it's destroyed, and you all burn it and stomp on it and dance on it, and the girls come and get on top of the statue and start twerking and everything. Okay, so congratulations, you won. You got the statue and the flag taken down. Now what? You wasted all that time and energy, and it didn't change a damn thing in your community. It didn't even change anything in your own life. They took the flag down and that you want to remove, but you still only have $120 in a little shoebox hidden in your closet that you think nobody knows about. You wasted all that time fighting for garbage. Our people have been doing that dumb shit for over 100 years now. Marching to integrate a toilet. Marching to laying in the floor because you want to integrate a soda shop, a restaurant, a hotel. All right. Meanwhile, white folk out here running commercials for old gold and got 1 million dumbasses mailing them free gold and diamonds. There's your white supremacy right there. Then if things really get bad, somebody calls Al Sharpton to come out to handle it. Did you know that Al Sharpton allegedly used to work for the FBI? Did you watch episode 4, Black Panther Exposed? I explained how the FBI was snatching up all these little street hustlers back in the pre-90s. Okay, probably still now as well, I'm sure. But one of the ones they got, I think in the 70s, was allegedly Al Sharpton. Professor Griff from Public Enemy spoke on it in depth during an interview with his girl, what's her name, Zaza. Check this out.
So today, Professor Griff, we're going to talk a little bit about Al Sharpton. It's been on the front page of the paper, the TV, the internet, Facebook. I mean, everywhere you could think of. Everybody's talking about Al being a rat, being an FBI informant. Well, the people that broke it. Well, I mean, this has been rumored. People's been talking about this for years now. He even mentioned it in a book in 1996 where he said he somewhat cooperated with federal authorities. He had a book, I think it was called Go and Tell Pharaoh.
Go Tell Pharaoh, yes.
Yeah. So this website, Smoking Gun, it's like a website where they just collect information through the Freedom of Information Act, and they put it on their website, and, I guess they let the people know all the stuff that they don't, that they're not privy to on a everyday basis. So they come out with this information, a bunch of documents saying that he was informant. He was known as CI7, and he is
right.
Yeah.
No, go on, I'm listening.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he assisted the FBI and the NYPD in the 80s to take down the mob. It goes on and on. I want to know, Professor Griff. Well, first of all, what's your take on this? Is this like is because it came out the blue? The first thing I want to know, they built this man image up. They gave him a show on MSNBC. He's running around with Obama, and then they just throw him under the bus with this one. So it's quite interesting, What's your opinion on this? I'm gonna let you just go off, brother.
Well, I try to give my opinion, but just based on the actual facts that are out there, I think we need to kind of take our time and kind of reassess the this whole Al Sharpton thing, and just pick it up from the time that they called on him to speak out for Trayvon Martin and the Martins and Trayvon Martin's family. It seems like from that moment forward to today, I think he's been catapulted in a position to be in front of black people, to take that position as the go-to black leader, so to speak, the hand-picked black leader by our open enemy. And we know we have to be careful of that, all right? So I think we need to also keep in mind the fact that this is not the COINTELPRO. This is not counterintelligence program of J. Edgar Hoover and the FBI, all right, which in that states their purpose of this particular counterintelligence endeavor is to expose, disrupt, misdirect, discredit, and or otherwise neutralize black nationalist hate type organizations, groups, and their leadership, spokespersons, membership, and supporters. We need to keep in mind that's not what this is. Al Sharpton wasn't on that job when he did what he did as far as wearing a wire. Now, I know a lot of people around the country, a lot of the young people around the country, and some of the so-called older young people want to ride the coattail of any leader that white people choose to put in front of us simply because they give them airtime.
Right.
We have to be very careful of that also. Some people have written the CI-7, which is a confidential informant, which is not something, a proud badge to wear. You understand what I'm saying? Some people have written him off as a poverty pimp. Anytime that he's a loudmouth spokesman someplace, they call Al Sharpton. We have to be very careful of this ever since the Tawana Brawley days. All right? Sad, but true. He tried to jump on the public enemy bandwagon for getting rid of Professor Griff out of the group. I remember, Al Sharpton calling me to the Slave Theater in Brooklyn with Alton Maddox.
Right.
And it was critical because it seems like any time, whether you want to or not, Al Sharpton seems like he's always there to wave the banner for black people, for black people's causes. I guess there's nothing wrong with that if you're not wearing a wire for the government.
Right.
You follow me?
Right.
So that's my opening statement. I'm gonna let Zaza make her opening statement, then I'm gonna come back to that. Hold on.
Okay.
Peace, brother. How you doing?
Peace, Ali. How you doing?
I am doing really well. This is a really interesting topic. I always find it interesting how our people respond when these type of things kind of come to the forefront. It's like, we champion black people now when white people go against them. It's like we jump on these bandwagons and go on these emotional orgasms without really stepping back and being logical in our thinking. I just, went to Reverend Al Sharpton's website, nationalactionnetwork.net. And, a lot of our people, especially, unfortunately, in the Christian community, I accuse them of consistent nothingness. And Al Sharpton falls under that category. And I just want to say this. I would have said this prior to this story dropping, because I definitely think that there's something behind this story as far as the timing, why they're doing it now. Anybody that has any information on the feds and how they operate, once you become an informant for them, they own you. So it's not about just doing one drop on the mob and then somehow they let you go and you live the rest of your life, riding off into the sunset. No, that's not how they operate. And that probably has something to do with him. Well, I'm not going to go into that, but I wanted to talk about his...
I'll go into it.
Yeah, Griff's going to go into that. But his website, when I look through his blogs, and, he puts out a blog every few days, so this is talking about the platform and what he represents. And I notice keywords like marching and organizing and a time for action and hope and change, these trigger words that are being used and thrown around now, but nothing's actually happening. So I'm looking through his website, and I see hating Obama is not a health care plan. Education reform without addressing the race gap is education deform. Paul Ryan doesn't represent America. While we celebrate the Oscars, we can't abort the fight to equality, and he's talking about gender equality and diversity. From Arizona to Uganda, we must protect the rights of the LGBT community. Now, on the first page of his website, he said that they did a poll, and 1 in 4 African Americans said that Al Sharpton speaks for them. What message? And I've gone through about 3 pages of his blogs that he's done recently. Which one of these messages actually really truly speaks to the plight of black people today? This is what I call consistent nothingness. And we, on the Smoking Gun webpage, it says that the National Action Network is paying him $212,000? $241,000 a year. This is a nonprofit agency. And what is it that he's really actually doing for the community outside of what about 20 other people are actually doing, which is having radio shows, doing talk shows, talking about the same thing that they're talking about on CNN and MSNBC, these same hot topics, but nothing is really getting accomplished in our communities. So while the whole, FBI snitching mob thing, yeah, that's important. But to me, it's like you don't have to be an informant you don't have to be an informant or a snitch for the government to be an agent for the government. So you can divert the people's attention by being an agent and keeping them focused on everything but the things that they should actually be focused on, i.e. marching, right. Donating for certain causes, and nothing ever actually comes out of that. Jumping on the hot topics like Trayvon Martin and ignoring the other 1,000 Trayvon Martins that are actually happening around the country. And they know that we are an emotional people, so they tap into these emotional orgasms, which is what I call them, that consistently happen and don't really go to the root of what the problem, like stand your ground. Let's fight stand your ground, not the mindset that actually created stand your ground in the first place. So I'm going to turn you back over to Griff.
Okay, so I think she laid out a few things, in her opening statement that I think we really need to stop and take a critical look at, simply because we need to understand, A, what is the Smoking Gun's intention? Let's take the weight back off Al for a second.
Right.
Let's get attention off of Al. What are these devils' intentions? As I just asked, why are they bringing the story out now?
Mm-hmm.
When you admitted that Al put out his book, Go Tell Pharaoh, on pages 137 through 139, he actually mentions it, that he wore the wire. And then deeper than that, I'm reading an article here from hip-hop mogul James Jimmy Hinchman, Rosemond, sentenced to life in prison. What does that have to do with Al Sharpton? It goes into the whole Al Sharpton piece where it talks about, it says, one-time suspect behind the murder of Tupac has worked with the likes of actor Michael K. Williams, Sean Combs, Puffy, and Reverend Al Sharpton. Why the hell Hinchman work with Al Sharpton? You go back to Al Sharpton's book, Go Tell It on Pharaoh, between pages 137 and 139. It not only talks about him being an FBI informant and wearing a wire, but he was the main one, according to Ludacris's manager, Shaka Zulu's father, who said that he was the one who set up a shot at Shakur.
Yeah, I was just about to mention that, yeah.
So if you go read the FBI's War on Tupac Shakur and Black Leadership by John Patash, it goes into that, using FBI files. The same FBI files that you and I can't get a hold of, but yet the Smoking Gun can get them. And a good white friend of mine, John Patash, can get them in his book, FBI's War on Tupac Shakur and Black Leadership. So there's a reason why they're releasing this particular story right now as we speak. And the timing could not be more better, because he's parading around the country with Barack Obama, showing up to parties with $200,000 plate dinners. You understand what I'm saying? And this is very critical. And we need to understand why they're propping him up. So let's be really real about this. The New York Post, I believe it says, he says, I'm not a rat, I'm a cat. And then when you read the article, it says, yeah, you're a cat, you're a pussy. So we have to. So let's just pause for a second. Roll the tape back. If Al was moving weight, right, he was doing what the hell he had to do. If you got busted, dude, then you eat that. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
You eat that, man. Don't blame that on nobody else. But I'm surprised when I'm reading through this information. How did the mob let him get away with that? The Genovese family? How they let him get away with that?
Good question.
That speaks volumes, man. That speaks volumes. Who are you really working for, Al? You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
And who is really protecting Al? To the point where, like Zaza said, once they get you and get their hooks in you, they don't just use you for one assignment. They sent Al to befriend and hang around the dude here, the boxing promoter, Don King, to try to get Don King on tape. So they was using Al for a few different things. Yo, man, once you come they little bitch, you they little bitch. Plain and simple. And they'll use you till they can't use you no more.
See, now, I wasn't even going to play that. But I want you to realize that I'm not making any of this up. Y'all might think, oh, well, you know, he being extra cold, he being hard, he being ignorant, he being whatever. I'm trying to get you all to see that I'm not saying anything that's not known. I'm just verbalizing it outwardly. I'm bringing it up to the surface. Before it was just stuff that we talked about in the back rooms. Okay, I'm bringing it out into the open. But this is stuff that's been discussed before. But, you know, like I said, I want to go in depth on this thing. All right, and so you heard where Professor Griff and his girl, they went in on it on their this guy's podcast. You know, so it's out there. It's been out there. But now we got to really start paying attention to this thing and then start doing something about it. Okay? So I just wanted you to realize that I'm not making it up. These are not my opinions. I'm telling you what's going on and what's happening and what needs to happen to change it down the road. Okay? This information has already been discussed for decades. It's all over the place. Now you might not know about it, but everybody else does. Okay? Y'all think white folks don't know this stuff. White people know what's going on. They're not dumb. They know all of this. We're not hanging out any dirty laundry that they haven't seen already 1,000,000 times. Okay? They're very well aware of what's going on in the black communities. Okay? Some of their children are going into the black communities to go to school and stuff like that. So they know. And you all are beating them up too. And then they go back home and tell what happened to them. Then another one of us gets jumped on the way to work or going into a store, stabbed out of the blue for no reason. We think it's for no reason. It's because of shit that you all are doing to their children. Okay, so yeah, people are out here. They're hip to it. They're doing their research, and they are not just sitting around and and watching that for all of their information. Some people are hip to it and they know, and they're not getting all their stuff off of TV like most of us do. All right, so. Here our people are. Millions looking at Sharpton as some kind of so-called black leader and someone with our best interests at heart. We like to believe that, but anytime something happened in the black community, all through the 80s and 90s, Sharpton was the first one on the scene, setting up some kind of march. Two of your children got shot. Let's march. Come on, let's go on a march. If marching worked, you would only have to do it 1 or 2 times, and then that would have solved the problem. The fact that y'all keep having to do these goddamn marches proves to you that the marching doesn't work, so why do you keep doing the stupid shit? It's pointless. And then they get him out there to tell you to do it again. That should tell you something about him. I never saw him wear a wire. I never saw him as an FBI informant. I didn't see him in the offices. I was a little kid back then. I don't know what he was doing. But I know he keep telling your asses to get out and march after your children get killed. He keep telling you to go out and do this useless, pointless shit that never works, and he keeps getting you to do it over and over and over again. I know that. And I know you all keep falling for it. Okay? Anytime black folk get mad, here comes some old Negro leader to walk them around the block a couple of times. All right? Come on. Oh, 2 of your children got killed, and the third one is in the hospital. Come on, let's go walking. Come on. Let's get here. Here go. We got you some signs. Take this sign. Let's go walking. I saw one of those. They sent the news down to do an interview during one of these Sharpton functions or whatever, and they was out there rioting. Well, I don't think it was a riot, but they were protesting. Let me put it like that. They were sitting around and they had their signs and they had the bullhorn and they were screaming. So they were going around and asking, what are you out here for? What do you want? What are you upset? What is it that you all want? And they were talking to a black man, and he said, we out here, because we just trying to get some justice and things got to change. He said, okay, well, so what do you want? He said, well, I mean, I don't know, like me personally, I don't know. I'm just, Minister Sharpton, the brother Sharpton called us out here, so when Sharpton called you, you show up. And the guy just looked at the camera. So just because he called and said, come on, let's go, y'all go, you don't even know what you're down there for. That's white supremacy all day, because they don't do stupid shit like that. If you ask one of them what are they down here for, any one of them, if they down at some kind of a rally or function, any one of them can answer that question. They'll stand there 15, 20 minutes talking about what they're there for, and they'll start pulling out flags and signs and showing you what they mean, and they go back and give you the history behind it. They know the names of their leaders, and they're not just the one that's there, but the one before him, and they tell you where where it all started and what they're there for. They can run it down. We up here talking about, well, Minister Sharpton called us down, so we here. Nobody can take you serious like that. Nobody ever take you serious like that. How is walking around the block going to teach anybody a lesson? Only thing that tells them is that you don't know what the hell you're doing, and you just sheep following the herd, following the shepherd. Okay? So, don't mess with us. Because if you mess with us, we're going to go walking again. And we got Sharpton to lead the way. You mess with us, we're going to go for a walk. Keep messing with us. We're going to go right here, and we're going to walk around this block, and we might go down that way. You keep talking. Oh, we're going to walk. Keep messing with us. That's Negroes playing hopscotch again and handing out supremacy tickets to everybody else. That's what that is. Okay? So, let me show you another way they got you playing hopscotch while they
shine bright like a diamond.
Remember this?
Tonight, we present a landmark in television entertainment. Roots, the true story Alex Haley uncovered in his 12 years search across the 7 generations of his ancestry. After 2 years of production, we present this incredible saga in an epic motion picture. Roots, the current #1 best-selling novel, is the television event of the year. From primitive Africa to the Old South. So, Roots sweeps across the panorama of a young America, bursting with all the dreams, all the joys, and all the hardships of a vibrant country and its people through the years of slavery. The Civil War.
Are we gonna whoop them Yankees?
Reconstruction. And the struggle to survive.
We want you, nigga.
A film spanning more than 100 years, generation to generation, continent to continent, slavery to freedom.
Hear me, O African, the flesh of your flesh has come to freedom. We are free.
Roots, starring Ben Vereen, Edward Asner, Lorne Greene, Cicely Tyson, O.J. Simpson, Linda Day George, Chuck Connors, John Amos, Leslie Uggams, Lloyd Bridges, Burl Ives, Louis Gossett Jr., Vic Morrow, George Stanford Brown, Ralph Waite, and introducing LeVar Burton as Kunta Kinte. Now, we are proud to present the triumph of an American family, Roots.
Yeah, here we go. Goddamn Roots. This was a mini TV series that first came on way back in 1977. By early 2000, they started playing it in like almost every Thanksgiving, as black people sat around and watched this bullshit, getting all upset and teary-eyed. Every year this was on. Why would you watch this garbage and let it destroy your mood You on the holidays, you got the family over there, y'all got the big meals and everything cooking, and you got Negroes getting beat and whipped on your TV. Why would you watch this while you're trying to eat dinner with the family and enjoy each other and enjoy your holidays? Who wants to see some damn slaves getting whipped and black folks on screen bleeding and crying and while you ask grandma to pass you the mashed potatoes? That's your holiday entertainment? Do you think the Jews have Schindler's List playing on in the background during Hanukkah? Who celebrates their holidays by watching movies that show their people being destroyed while they eat dinner? What the hell is wrong with you all, man? You sit up there and let your children watch it because you want them to know, as you put it, where they came from. What? But they didn't come up in a damn cotton patch. They didn't come up being whipped except by your dumb ass. You whipped them. Okay? They do something wrong and bring home a bad grade from school. You whipped them. And then you show them roots and say that the white man is whipping them. No, the only person that your children have ever had whip them is you. And that's white supremacy. Okay? So white folks don't even have to teach them to have that slave mentality. They don't have to tell little black children nothing. Their mothers indoctrinate them into it and show them being beaten and tortured in these shows. And they'll force the child to sit down and watch Roots. Child ain't trying to watch that bullshit. Child trying to turn on some cartoons or something like that or play some video games, and you gonna force your child to sit down and watch this garbage because you think it has some kind of value to it. And that child needs to know that he came from a cotton patch, and he didn't. That child was born from you and lived in a house or an apartment or something his whole life. He ain't know nothing about a cotton patch until you told it to him. And I'm not saying never tell him, but the child don't need to grow up with his mind locked into that garbage, but you lock him into it. See? You showing them black people that look like them being beaten and tortured. Jews don't show Schindler's List to their little children during their holidays. See? Black people do that stupid shit. So, yeah, look what happened to your ancestors. Damn, can the child grow up first? Can they enjoy being 6 first? Damn, they got 80 years to pick up on all this bullshit and be upset about it. But you want to hit them with it at 6, 10. Their mama's got them sitting there watching Roots as a little child, watching people being brutalized on screen and being belittled. And so you're conditioning them for the rest of their life and teaching them their position in this world for the rest of their life. That child grew up to be great, a genius. He could pass you up without even trying. But y'all want to lock them into the shit that you was locked into, and you keep passing it on down the line, making them watch that garbage, indoctrinating them into the slave mindset. And they don't have a father to stop it. Because if they had a father, the father would have turned that shit off and be like, we ain't watching this shit. Okay? But that's women that's locked into that shit. They like it. They like that drama, and you know, oh, look what happened. You know, they sitting there crying, and the child sees the mother crying, and the child picks up on that energy, and now the child is upset. You picking that up from you. You are conditioning that child to be a slave, even though he hadn't spent 2 minutes in a cotton patch. All right. So nobody does this ridiculous, self-destructive shit except the Negro. What you're actually teaching the child is white supremacy. White folks don't sit around and watch Nazis kill Jews every year. Negroes sit around and watch white people kill blacks every year. It's entertainment. Okay? I'll tell you what they do watch. I'll tell you what they watch. White folk, Jews, and I'm going to tell you what they like to watch. Miracle on 34th Street. Home Alone. This is not my opinion. I'm telling you that there's a list of the most popular shows, most popular movies to watch during the holidays. And it ain't Roots, Negro. Okay? They're watching Miracle on 34th Street, Home Alone, The Grinch, Edward Scissorhands, Trading Places with Eddie Murphy. All right, Trading Places. It's a Wonderful Life, Elf, It's a whole list. It goes down to these cute little goofy type shows. You know, people tripping over their own feet and falling down the steps, and just little silly stuff, little goofy stuff. And these top the list every year as America's favorite holiday movies. Schindler's List and Anne Frank are not on that list. Why is Roots in yours? How come almost every movie with a majority of black folks in it is about slavery and gangsters and thugs or poverty? Why do you identify so closely with Roots and your ass ain't never been in a cotton patch a day in your life? Some of y'all ain't even got jobs and you mad about slavery. Y'all sitting around got free food, free housing. You might even get bus tickets. I don't know if they give you that. Y'all can ride the bus for free. Somebody might even give you a car. But even if they don't give you one, you can get a car $2,000-$3,000 now. You can get you a halfway decent car. Okay. So it's very easy. We got it really easy these days than we ever did back in previous eras. And y'all mad about an event in history that occurred over 150 years before you was ever even here. Meanwhile, we look at shows with a majority of white folks, and it's a different story. In 2005, white folks released their own origin story on HBO, which dated back to way before slavery, called Rome. Rome is back in 50 BC, 40 BC. I think they were still around even into the AD era. I mean, obviously Rome is still around today, but I'm talking about with the centurions, the Roman soldiers, which y'all like to call biblical days. Okay, but I think it went back to 40 BC, 50 BC, maybe 60 and 70 BC. It went back. All right. So they're making movies now about their origins. That was kind of really the beginning of one of the most powerful European civilizations in history. And that's really when they started spreading out, branching out, and really taking some things over and saying, this is ours, that's ours, we're going to take this, we're going to take that, and really being able to defend it and take it, and very few people could stand against them. Okay, so this is their origins. When they did their story, check out their origin story, Rome.
Make way for the proconsul Gaius Julius Caesar!
You've entered the city under arms. The gods know my intentions are peaceful.
Rome has fallen into the hands of a corrupt monster. What do you do? By the spirits of my ancestors, I curse Caesar.
The decisive battle begins.
Caesar is now surrounded and severely outnumbered! Are you with me?
This is how history is made.
Damn, that's a big difference, huh? How did their origin story go way back to 49 BC, but our origin story only started in the 1700s with slavery? And you play along with it and watch it, getting all teary-eyed. But this is always what happens when somebody else is telling your story. Is that their fault for using a type of psychological warfare against you, or is it your fault for letting them do it by willingly watching it and forcing your children to watch it? And then look at the Negroes that go down and sign up for the role to play that part. See? You all are participating in your own destruction and happy about it. Begging for please give me this part, please. I'll do anything. See, I don't even put this on them because again, that's the game. I get it. In Monopoly, you use every trick in the book, and even some that's not in the book, to stay on the top, to stay on the board and take over as many things as you can, and try to trick and coerce people into making moves that they really is to their detriment, and you can kind of finagle them into making a move that's to their detriment. Then that just puts you higher up in the game. It's a game, okay? Everybody around the world sees it except black folk. So whose fault is that? So instead of going after them, my question is, where are our studios? Where are our studios telling our stories in the proper context? Where are our movies that show us how we want to be seen? Take our history back to 49 BC, 100 BC. See, ours didn't start there. Go back to 1000 BC, 2000 BC, 3000 BC. Now you're getting in, those could be some good movies. Y'all ain't making no movies like that. Y'all sitting around watching Roots over and over and over again every year. Okay? Do you see the multi-dimensional Monopoly game now? It's not even just physical, it's psychological, it's emotional. They hitting you from all angles, man. Bam, 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 and they getting you. And you playing the role because you turning to the side and saying, okay, get me over here. Yeah, okay, get me right. This is a real sensitive part of my chin, man. Make sure you hit me real hard right there. All right, yeah. Now get that eye. Catch me in that eye. Bam, 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 bam. And y'all playing the part to make sure that you get as effed up as you possibly can. You have to participate and be willing to take a beating like that to get that kind of beating. Okay, so that was wrong. In 2016 to 17, they did some more origin stories. Now they changed it up again and released a whole new series telling their origin from a different angle. Now they start dealing with the Vikings that came on the scene later around 793 AD. The History Channel put out a whole series, which I think was like 6 or 7 seasons. And I think season 7 actually is about to drop pretty soon. And it's actually a really good show. So if you get a chance to watch Vikings, it's actually good. So check out the trailer for Vikings.
Father has returned. Perhaps he should not have come back.
Your father's return brings calamity, chaos, tragedy, and death.
I am not afraid.
You should curse the day.
You know I must go back to England. You should have gone back a long time ago. This map is the Mediterranean Sea. I need safe passage for my fleet. But I cannot deny that part of myself which is still Viking.
I want you to know that I can never forgive you for taking away my husband and my world.
I promise you, my son, that one day the whole world will know and fear Ivar the Boneless. We assemble an army twice the size of the army our father took to Paris.
Oh, you must seek revenge.
We don't just declare war in England.
The armies. How big are their armies? Hundreds? Thousands? Tell me. I need to know. Damn you!
We declare war on the whole world.
Be ruthless. This is the time of war. This is the time to hate.
Okay, it looks tight, right? That, you know, it's cool. Okay, well, they ain't saying nothing. They ain't got nothing on us, because we also got a trailer for a whole new series in 2016. Check out our new show for 2016.
I own this property, boy, and everything on it.
No matter what the master call you, you keep your true name inside. He ain't never gonna see you for who you truly is, no matter what you think.
Chain yourself to the wagon, George.
A name is who you is. My daddy took whippings night and day to protect his name.
Your name is
Yeah, man, we got a new Roots. Yeah, see? See what I'm saying? They remade Roots for us. Isn't that nice? Look at that. We got a new Roots, okay, that we can watch every year. It's a whole series now. It ain't just a movie. That's a whole series now. You can watch that on and on, season 1, season 2, season 3. Every month and every year you can watch your ancestors get their asses kicked. See? How you got a new Roots? You all watching that shit? Really? I mean, I'd really like to know who's watching that. Come on, man, admit it. Put it in the comments and tell me that you were watching this shit. And yeah, we watch it. It's good. Yeah, I like sitting down and watching this. Put that down in the comments down there and let me know who was watching Roots. Okay, go on and admit to it. Ain't no sense in hiding. All right, somebody watching it. I know it because y'all was watching the old one. But hold on now, they got another movie that they came out with in 2016. All right. Check out their movie. This dropped in 2016. All right. Check this one out. They just tried the same time they was dropping Roots again. They also dropped this one. Check it out.
You chose the wrong side.
Yeah, man, see? It's one of the baddest superhero movies ever made. Captain America, Civil War. So, what does this put into the collective consciousness of the country, of the world? We got white folks as mighty warriors, gods and superheroes, and black folks once again and forever as slaves. And notice what it said at the beginning this time. Did y'all watch it? You see the beginning, did you notice that? In the face of injustice, never forget where you come from. And then they proceed to show you getting your ass whooped. They proceed to show you in chains and shackles. That's where you came from. Never forget. They tell you, never forget where you came from. Nigga, you will always be a slave. For here and forevermore. That's who you are. That's what you are. Don't ever try to break out of it. That's you. That's your heart and soul. You're born with shackles on your soul and heart. And it's going to stay there forever. And we're going to keep making sure it stays there. Because after we finish this Roots, we're going to do another Roots. And we're going to put it out again in a couple more years. With new actors, we're going to get your actors and your actresses to come and play the part and put them chains on again and put them slave clothes on again and sit there eating some chitlins, pig guts, pig intestines. And you all eat that. That's slave food. All right? Garbage that's killing you. And you all eat that because you think it's a part of your culture. You think it's a part of your heritage. So you feel like that you're honoring your ancestors by eating pig intestines. That's white supremacy. Black ignorance. See? Did you notice that it said that? This is where you can't. I don't even know how many caught that. But even if you didn't notice it, the subconscious picks it up. Your mind saw it. You may not have seen it, but your mind saw it. Your brain saw it, picked it up, and registered it. Even if you didn't acknowledge it, you may not have paid any attention. So they do things that operate on your subconscious. They touch your spirit without you even being aware that your spirit was touched. Hyperdimensional monopoly. See? They're making moves that you can't see. All right? So they've been playing games like this with these different movies and things, and that's really, actually, this is what movies and TV is for. You all think they just put this stuff out to entertain you. They didn't put this stuff out to entertain you. They don't give a damn about you being entertained. They put this stuff out as another form of being able to send you messages in your home while they're nowhere around you. They can be on the other part of the world, on the other part of the planet, and they can send you signals around the world into that little box, into that TV, into your radio, and they can program your mind and manipulate and twist and change your thinking and get you to do things and think a certain way while they're nowhere around you. And that's what the TV and the radio was always for. It was a way to get information across and into the people's consciousness, and to be able to get them to see things a certain way and to understand things a certain way and to feel and think a certain way based on how they want you to see, think, and feel. And it works. It works. That's what you sitting around watching Roots for Thanksgiving every year. Okay? They've been doing this since 1888 is when the TV was invented. And it started, from day one that they've been doing this. That's 135 years of fucking with your mind on a conscious and subconscious level. Non-stop, day and night. Some of y'all sleep with the TV on. Guess what? The shows are still playing while you sleep. They still messing with your subconscious while you're asleep. You sleep with the TV on, still being programmed and don't know it. They got you from every possible angle, man. Hyperdimensional monopoly. They got you. Mind, heart, soul, spirit, everything. And you all willingly play the part and give it over to them. And then after you give it over to them, you start handing out them supremacy tickets. Here you go. Here you go. Yep, you got me. Here you go, supremacy. Here you go. And it keeps going on. They don't have to do nothing now. They don't even have to. They'll record the show one time and just keep playing it over and over. He's asleep. That white folk done went to sleep, went to bed. They not even. But the show is still playing down at the studio, and they got it on the loop. And they got the Real Housewives marathon playing, and you watch that, and that show programs you with that negative demonic energy that those women on there display, beating each other up, jumping on each other, flipping tables over, they mad, screaming, yelling, angry, ripping each other's hair out, and then you all do it in real life. You all go to sleep with that on. You watch it while you're eating dinner. That's your entertainment, and it programs you. And then you get out into the store and somebody step on your foot or bump into your cart or look at you a certain way, and you all act just like you all act in real life, just like they act on the show. They got you, see? And that's white supremacy. And you program yourself. They don't have to program you anymore. They put the programming out there, and you can't wait to get home and partake of it and soak it up and absorb it and sit there and watch that shit and go to sleep with the TV on. And sitting there and just fall asleep, and it's just playing in your consciousness constantly. And then that's how you act. All right? So if that trailer for the actual series came on while you was asleep, you can't even see the screen talking about Roots. If let's say, for instance, that the Roots trailer came on while you was asleep, you can't see it, but you could hear black people crying and screaming. And in the morning, you wouldn't even know that the trailer had played 5 times while you was asleep, or that an actual episode that came on. You might have slept through 2 episodes and you didn't even know it. Okay, but in the morning, you wondering why you feel the effects of it and don't know why you have a headache. You feel the effects of it and don't know why you're in such a bad mood. you might just start crying. You might just be standing around crying and don't know why. You're just crying and just upset about things and don't know why. You just feel uneasy and something don't feel right. You don't know why. Okay? Do you sleep with the TV on? How do you know what was playing while you were asleep? How do you know what was programming your subconscious while you were knocked out? And it was still getting in your head while you're knocked out sleep. You don't know. You just laying there soaking it up. But what if some kind of, check this out, what if some kind of paranormal horror movie came on while you were asleep, and then y'all say, well, I don't watch that, I don't watch that. If you sleep with the TV on, you don't know what you watch. Okay? You're sitting there asleep in the horror movie. Somebody may come on, sometime they get hold of a demonic book that's covered in human flesh. Okay? And they open up the book and they start reading out of the book and speaking incantations. And I don't know how many of you all know, but they use real witchcraft spells in these movies. They don't just make up the language. They don't just make this stuff up. I made that up, but they don't just make this stuff up. They say real words that are a part of real incantations. And when you watch the movie and you play that episode, your TV is speaking real incantations in your house.
Naturom Demonto.
Okay. And can you summon something like that? There's no conscious energy behind it. But can you still summon things like that just by playing a recording of somebody speaking an incantation? Maybe, maybe not. I personally wouldn't want to find out. I don't sleep with the TV on. All right? But yeah, you can have somebody that might start speaking some kind of a real incantation, a real spell in one of these movies in your house while you're knocked out sleep. You just laying there. You wouldn't even know that something was standing on the side of your bed watching you sleep, manifested because of the spell of the incantation that was just said in that movie. You wouldn't even know it. You might have something on you now that's stuck to you, some kind of an entity that has attached itself to you, and you going through your day and your life and you don't know why your shoulder hurts, why your back hurts, you know, and you just, man, my back is just killing me and I don't know why. I don't know what's going on. And if you could see in the mirror, if you could look in the mirror, and if you had eyes to see, you might see some kind of a dark shadow hanging on your back. All right? You don't know. These movies are not just movies. They don't just make this stuff up. Okay? So, I didn't want to play the audio to that because I didn't want to, you know, actually, if it can invoke something, I didn't want to do it, so I took the audio off. But I just wanted you all to see that you know, this stuff is real. They don't just make this stuff up for you to sit there and clap. Oh, that was good. They're not getting nothing off of that. So why are they spending $50 million, $75 million, $25 million to make these movies? There's something else to it. You put that kind of time and money, and you got all these actors and actresses playing their parts, and it took you like 2 years or 3 years to make it, a year and a half to make it, and all of you all was there every day dedicated to this. There's something else going on. And the only one that don't know about it is you, us. Okay. So in fact, just to prove my point, just today, I was eating dinner and I started flipping channels to see what new movies was available, right? And then here we go. I'm flipping through, so let me see what I'm gonna watch. Boom, here go this movie pop up called Jungle, with some black kid looking terrified on the front, of course. Why? See, have you noticed that almost all the black people in these movies, and like in the thumbnails when they advertise the movie, have you noticed that all the black people always look either sad, terrified, or angry? Look at the little boy in the jungle thumbnail. But first off, why you gotta call it Jungle? That's the first thing. We won't even talk about the title. We ain't gonna even go into that. All right. You can already guess what it's about. You know, if you know anything about black movies, you could come up with 2 or 3 different ideas of what it's about, and you would be right. All right. The only difference, you would actually have this movie pegged in terms of what's going on in the movie. You would know it. If you just took 2 or 3 guesses, you'd get it. But this one is set in the UK. And so here's the synopsis. The UK rap culture, here we go, everybody's a rapper, all right? The UK rap culture brings you a crime drama like nothing you've seen before. Because we haven't seen enough crime dramas with black rappers. So this one is different, nothing you've ever seen before. In a near future London, 2 young men try to better themselves, but are forced to face the consequences of their actions. Yeah, they got to better themselves, because of course black people never have it together. They never got their shit together, none of these movies. So, now they're having to face, the reaction, face their actions, okay? They have to deal with the consequences of their actions. They've been out here fucking up. So now they got to get it together, okay? So after seeing that, just for kicks, I decided to do a little digging around online and found some other movie thumbnails. The thumbnail is the picture. This some people don't know. The thumbnail is the little picture that's there to represent the movie. So you're looking at the synopsis and you get the little picture there. That's the thumbnail. All right. So I went digging around online and found some other interesting movie thumbnails. And I found another one called Spell. It's the Spell thumbnail. Scared Negro. See? Then you got Tyler Perry, of course, with Ruthless. That's the Ruthless thumbnail. You see that one? And then my all-time favorite, Get Out. That's the Get Out thumbnail. Check this out. Scared Negro, all the time they just scared or mad or they looking serious or like they gonna cut you, see? Us, the Us thumbnail. See? Now, I challenge you to find some movies of white folks crying on the thumbnail. Find some movies of white folks that just look terrified. Right? Even when they got the horror movies, the girl's standing there with a knife and she looking behind the door, and then the killer's on the other side of the door, and he's looking, she might look a little nervous, but she got her blade, she ready to go. They always look like heroes and all of their shit, man. And we always look scared and terrified, like we just got off the plantation and we hear the dogs in the background. And we every movie. See? I couldn't find any of white people just looking scared and terrified. All the white folks just look strong and determined warriors, ready to fight. Use any service you want, man. Hulu, Netflix, whatever you want, and try to find some sad, crying white folks. See, that's the game. Psychological warfare, Jack. They're masters at it. See? So you can see now how this thing operates. It's interesting just how easily people are deceived and pulled into a false reality. And then there's they pull you into a matrix. That's where you got the movie Matrix. They pulling you into a false reality. They create a mindset for you. They create imagery and show you how they want you to feel, and then you not only willingly participate and sit there and watch it and synchronize with that energy, but you also force your children to sit and watch it with you, steadily handing out those supremacy tickets. Man, here you go, here you go, here you go. Everybody's supreme over you. Okay? So here's my advice. I think more and more black folk need to start turning off that TV and start playing Monopoly. We used to play it all the time back in the 70s and 80s. That was a big, that game was big back then. But this time when you play it, like start playing it with each other, because what you all do, what happens is, first off, you start to form stronger connections with everybody that's playing. That's the first thing. You all start to communicate and talk and laugh, and you all spend time with each other directly. But this time when you play, study it while you play it. Okay? Check out the different strategies that you can use and see how ruthless that you have to be to win. Okay? Can you win without being a cutthroat animal? How many different ways can you win at Monopoly? All right? And here's the thing. If you can't find enough, so we're so divided and separated now, we may not be able to find anybody that we could play it with. Like, I personally don't know anybody that I could sit down with for hours and play Monopoly, and I don't really have that kind of time anyway. But they have a computer game version. So if you have a computer, it may even work on, I don't know if it works on your tablet. You could maybe do it on your tablet. If you have it on your laptop, you could probably play it on your laptop. I'm pretty sure you can play it on your laptop. But you could get that game and download it and play it on your laptop, and just start, when you have free time, just start playing the game on your own if you have to. But the point is to start to get into that mindset of, being able to look ahead, being able to strategize, being able to use tactics and strategy to be able to formulate a plan to become the dominant player on the board. You see? And we normally haven't been doing anything that requires that kind of, thinking. We haven't been really paying that any attention. Okay? So, how many different ways can you win if you go that way? Consider the fact that if I can trick you and buy properties off you and manipulate you out of more and more of your holdings of money in the game, then the more powerful I become in the game, the more difficult it will be to defeat me. But as you get weaker, the easier it is to defeat you and get even more property off you. See? So in essence, every time I can get you to fall for something, to fall for a trick, then that weakens you and empowers me. You're giving me supremacy over you because you keep falling for the tricks. See? And that's the game. So that's why y'all need to start really playing stuff like that. Even if you don't have nobody else to play with, like I say, download it and play it on your laptop by yourself, because it'll get you into that thinking. All right, particularly for the men, particularly for the brothers. We really got to do that. Not so much for the sisters, because I hate to say it, man, but they are not the movers and shakers of the world, and never have been and never will be. You all are not conquerors. You all have never throughout history went out and taken over any land or country. You all have never taken up swords and shields and invaded a territory and started chopping people's heads off and raiding villages, and then take that whole area over and spread out and crush, dominate, control, and then maintain it. And then, right, because like now the Romans did it, and you can still see Rome today in Italy, and people that think it's just that little area up there, but really it's global. You can't see it. Like I said, you can't see their moves. America, came over, little colonies and stuff came over here, and now they're all over the world. And again, you think it's just here, but they're all over the world. China and Japan, and we have video of the invasions and the battles and the wars that these people have done and been doing and still doing right now today. You don't see women anywhere in the world crushing and destroying and and dominating and taking over industries, buying out entire corporations and putting big businesses out of business. We hear about Elon Musk, we hear about Bill Gates, we were hearing about Steve Jobs, we were hearing about what's his name, Michael Dell, I think, from Dell Computers. And that's what we hear about. And so then what happens is these big wigs give women a job, and they might put them right at the front, at the front desk, or they might put her, she might be his lead secretary, and so then the women say, I'm at the top and I'm almost running this whole company because I'm here, but it's always the man that's up top that's giving you that position, and then you all get out of line, and then he just make her disappear, and that's the end of her. Proof of which, you had that one Omarosa back in the day with Trump, and Omarosa was just a terror. She tearing through the White House, and you do this and you do what I say, and because she was Trump's right-hand man, essentially, okay? And, man, she was just really running around just trying to crush and dominate and tell people what to do. But when she went too far, and then she started trying to turn against the hand that was feeding her, which was Trump, he just snapped and she was gone. You ain't heard nothing from her since. So that's, when you start getting into this girl power thing that they're pushing, it's an illusion, all right? And it's anytime somebody has to give you authority or give you power, it's an illusion, because those same people can take it away. If you all haven't gone out and started chopping heads and conquering and destroying and crushing, and it's not just taking it, it's taking it and holding it and defending it and saying, this is mine and I'm not giving it up, and I'll kill anybody that come over here, and then time pass and then you still have it and nobody can get it off you. That's what I'm talking about. So they came over and, so now you got them over here in America, and they took America, and nobody can come take it back. All right, they took over all over Europe. Parts were taken by invading armies, and nobody can go up there and take back from Germany what Germany says is theirs. All right, so women can't say that about anything. Neither can black men. But the black men that are in Africa, you do have the kings and the presidents and the prime ministers and whatever is over there, and they do have standing armies over there. That's not to say that they can stand up against America or Russia or anything like that, but in terms of the people over there that they're dealing with, they can deal with each other on an even basis. And the men are still in charge, and the women aren't over there taking over any kind of territories in Africa today. So this whole, women power thing, man, whatever. But I'm just saying that the ones that really need to start getting into this kind of monopoly type of thing and learning how to play the game and are the ones that have always been the pioneers of mankind, the ones to forge ahead, the ones that cut through the trees and built a little cabin and then spread that cabin out, okay, into a community. And that's why you have different states and different little counties and towns, cities named after the person that first went up and built the cabin. So Jamestown, somebody named James came up and built that. All right. Cleveland, it was a guy named Cleveland. See what I'm saying? So you don't, you just, I'm just saying, this is what it is. It's history. So don't get mad at me. That's the history. I'm just telling you what it is. It's documented. Y'all can go look it up. Y'all can prove me wrong. Y'all can go find some territories or some areas where women went in and just dominated, and it's still run, owned, and operated by women today. And they crushed and took that territory, and nobody can get it off of. Put it in the comments. Tell me where I'm wrong. Don't get mad at me. Put it down there if I'm wrong. That's all. So anyway, it's very important that brothers start getting into this monopoly thing and start learning to think like that. So if you do that and you get good on the game, then what happens if you're crushing the game and you just taking everything over? Somebody might say, well, he's a black supremacist, or he has toxic masculinity because he's crushing and taking over everything on the board, and we don't even have a chance anymore. Now, see what I'm saying? When you start losing the game, the one that's losing calls the winner a supremacist. Or if it's a woman that's losing, she might say he has toxic masculinity. You're not giving me a fair chance on the board. She's upset because she can't win. She can't beat you. But if you lose, then she's laughing and dancing all around the room. But if you win, you're toxic masculinity. You're a supremacist. See? This is what it is. When those are the words that start going around from the losers. When it's just standing there like, what? I thought we was playing to win. I thought we was in the game. I thought this what it was. Why would I diminish my power and authority and dumb myself down so you could win? And then so it's a fair game if you win, but if I win, all of a sudden I'm toxic and I'm supremacist and racist and bigoted because I played the game better than you? See, this is what I'm saying. So this is what white supremacy is. It's you losing the damn game. They got you so deep in the hole that you forgot you were even in the hole. I'm gonna prove it to you. You know, okay, so how we were just talking about roots. So y'all sit up here watching that garbage and crying over it and got your kids watching it and crying over it. Meanwhile, did you know that it was all bullshit? Did you know that it never happened? They told you that Alex Haley went back and found his, that's why they called it roots, because Alex Haley went back and found his roots, and then he's telling you the story of the family he found. They got you again, fool. He lied. They told you that Alex Haley, went and did this big journey and, and found out that he was related to Kunta Kinte, and it was all lies. He stole the whole damn story from a white man who wrote a fictional story about slavery. And Alex Haley was sued for plagiarism. Did y'all know that? You didn't know that, did you? Yeah. He got sued. He lied. It was all bullshit. It never happened. Y'all watching it and crying over it, and it never even happened. Y'all thought that shit was real. Yeah, slavery happened. Slavery was real. But what you were watching and getting upset over was fiction. Okay? You didn't see that on CNN, did you? They just remade that series into a whole new, that movie into a whole new series. But nowhere during the marketing and the advertising did they tell you that it was fictional and that it wasn't real. And that Alex Haley was sued for plagiarism. The whole show was a hoax. So yeah, slavery happened, but don't you have enough real shit to focus on without crying over fake shit on top of it? You all get mad at your kids if they get upset over some comic books. Well, you upset over roots and all of it is fiction. What's the difference? Okay? And don't you have enough current shit going on in your life without running around angry about some shit that happened hundreds of years before you were born? See? So, you know what this means, right? Now, you owe your children an apology. Every last one of you who sat your child down and forced them to watch that fictionalized, fabricated bullshit, putting that slave mindset into their consciousness based on a damn fairy tale that you told them was true. You told them this was their history and this is where they came from. Now you have to sit them down and try to get that crap back out of their heads. You put it in there, so you get it out. They even told you, they even tell you the name of the book that Haley stole it from, and it was called The African by Harold Corlander. So now you need to sit your children down and apologize because you were too dumb and ignorant to do your research before you filled their heads and warped their minds and souls with that brainwashing garbage. You can't even blame that on the white man. That's your fault. You did that to them. Okay? How many of you cried with your children over Kunta Kinte getting whipped? That's white supremacy. See? They up here. They don't make their children sit and watch a self-destruction show showing white people getting obliterated. But blacks do that to their children. Okay? And white folks damn sure is not going to make their children watch whites getting obliterated on a fictional show that never even happened. See? This is black ignorance that creates white supremacy. White folk admitted that it was fake, and that's the thing. You can't even get mad at them. They admitted it was fake. All right, and it was in the news. It was advertisements and newspapers and stuff that went out. Y'all missed all of it. Okay, they made him pay for it. They hauled him into court, and they even posted it in the New York Times. But they don't have an obligation to keep telling you things over and over and over for your benefit. That's your responsibility to educate yourself and for you to keep up with what's going on out here. And you are not going to learn it on the 6 o'clock news. The only way you start to cast off all of that ignorance is you have to throw away the weed, pour out the liquor, close your legs, put some damn clothes on, go buy yourself $1,000 computer, not a laptop, a desktop $1,000 computer, and a high definition monitor, 25, 30 inch, get you a nice big monitor, a high speed modem, get you maybe one of those 200 megabit per second speed, 300, 400, get some speed on there, man. Get you some technology, okay? And then use all of that to start educating yourself and educating your children every single day. Teach your children how to use it and how to do that, and instead of making sure that they know that their ancestors were slaves and just dumb. Okay, the ancestors, they made their mistakes and they propagated those mistakes forward, and then you picked up those mistakes and ran with them and then propagated them into your children. That's dumb. Okay, and you don't have to do it. This was all your choice. You didn't have to do any of it. White folk ain't asked you to do that. You did it on your own because you felt like it needed to be done. Self-important, arrogant. See? Then you got all these degrees and didn't know their roots was fiction. Why didn't they teach you that in college? You got a doctorate. You got 2 doctorates, a PhD. You got 3 masters, and got your children watching Roots and telling them it was real. See? All right, but can't no man tell you nothing. Y'all strong, independent. Y'all got it together. Nobody can tell you nothing because you got it. You got degrees. Nobody can tell you nothing. Come on, man. Some of y'all even like to say, well, we can never forget it. Nobody tells Jews to forget about the Holocaust. Why should we forget about slavery? First of all, you all sound like some damn fools even asking that question. I shouldn't even have to answer that because it should have never been asked. Look, when white folk tell their story, it's not so that they can sit around and cry and get angry about it. They're smarter than you. Negroes are the only ones who do that shit. When Jews tell their story, they make it to their benefit. They own the damn studios that's telling the story. Then use the studio to tell their own story from their perspective and to their benefit. So when they told their story about the Holocaust with Schindler's List, Schindler's List made $322 million. Who got that money? Where'd that money go? Some of it went back into production, but a lot of it went into some fattening up some pockets. $322 million from Schindler's List. Sophie's Choice was another one, Holocaust movie, that made $30 million. The Zookeeper's Wife was another one, a Holocaust movie, made $26 million. Defiance, another, made $51 million. Inglourious Bastards made $321.5 million. See? They keep doing Holocaust movies over and over, making Nazi games. We ain't even talked about all these video games that's made where you run around and shoot up Nazi soldiers. Okay? So, how much money are these games making? Castle Wolfenstein. They've been making this 3D shoot 'em up game where you run down the hallways and stuff and shoot everything in sight. They started making that game back in like the 80s, like the late 80s, I think was the first Castle Wolfenstein game. Okay, and I think they've had maybe 5 or 6 more after that, and you just run around and shoot up Nazis. So the Nazis offended them, and then they keep coming up with games where you shoot up Nazis every couple of years. They got a new version and a new version and a new version. It's like, you piss me off and I'm gonna whoop your ass for the rest of history. You all did this to me, and I'm gonna do this to you from here to the end of time. I'm gonna have the whole world gunning for you, shooting you up and calling you a demon and a devil for the rest of the time that this earth exists. That's a hell of a punishment. So the Nazis can never get out from under that boot now. In these games, you just run around and shoot up Nazis, and everybody is playing the game, and you try to shoot them, and you got chainsaws and buzzsaws and hammers and bazookas and grenades, and you just blowing the hell out of Nazis through the whole game. And everybody is cheering and excited and happy to kill a Nazi. Okay? But that's what happens with them when they tell their story and they put a game out or something that represents their history and their people. They profit from it. They have taken that. It's the greatest example that I've ever heard of taking lemons and making it into lemonade. Nobody can do that better than what they did with that. Everywhere you look, Nazis are demonized and hated and reviled. And all of the games, you blowing the hell out of Nazis in every game. In every movie, the Nazi is the villain and the demon and the enemy and must be destroyed at every turn. And, there's all the wrong ones. They own you now, man, for the rest of history. That's why they keep making it. All right? They make hundreds of millions of dollars over and over and over every time they do it. And here's the catch. They made their movies and made themselves look like heroes and made a fortune from it. And they also made your movies and made us all look like a fool and still made a fortune off of that too. Now, how much money has any of you ever made off of Roots or any movie? And yet, you make sure that you watch it every year and have dedicated yourself to it. And make your children watch it every year. And make them feel some kind of loyalty to it. And y'all haven't made a dime off of none of that shit. That's white supremacy. See? They up there because of their intelligence. And you keep losing because of your ignorance. Black ignorance is white supremacy. Okay? You haven't made a dime off of that. Nothing. And it was a lie. It was all a hoax. See? So, you can see how dumb you keep making yourselves look through history. The only question left after that is, who put Haley up to it? The original series was filled with all of the biggest, hottest Hollywood stars of that day. Haley couldn't even have gotten hold of all of them on his own. He was just an author. He was a book writer. But yet, that movie had Cicely Tyson, John Amos, Maya Angelou, Lou Gossett Jr. Come on, man. How did Haley get all of those big superstars and 50 other ones to play in that damn movie? O.J. Simpson, come on. He was big back then. He was a superstar back then. The answer is he didn't. That means there was some real heavy hitters that put that shit together. This was a huge operation, and they all knew it was bullshit. The ones that was orchestrating it knew it was bullshit. Everybody except you and the ones that were in it. All of you all that was closest to it, that was in it and watching it, didn't know that it was fiction. But all the ones making it did. See how they got you? Yeah, they got y'all good on that one, man. White supremacy all day. That was like carpet bombing the entire black community coast to coast across the entire United States of America. All y'all got carpet bombed with this root shit, and they do it, and they keep dropping carpet bombing y'all every year with this TV series and the movies and a remake and a remix, and then they had a spinoff from that, these Roots, and then they had other shows based on Roots that started coming out, and y'all was watching that. Now you got to see that. Can't miss an episode. Got to see it. See? All they had to do was put the trap out there, and y'all ran and just jumped into it head first. All right? And then forced your kids to come with you. But what you all have to understand is that the game didn't just start. That game is not new. That didn't just start. The game started almost 4,000 years ago. And that's when the paths were chosen that would determine the position that we would be in today. So our fates were determined 4,000 years ago. So it was actually our ancient ancestors who first started losing the game. Or more accurately, I guess you could say that they threw the game. Why? Because, well, how did they throw it? Because our ancestors refused to embrace, learn, and master new technologies and keep up with or surpass the new sciences that were sweeping the world of that day. What's he talking about, man? What's he going on? Well, I kind of already went over it back in episode 2, the Father's Day special. Okay, back in 1600 BCE is when the first choice was being made that would determine our status and position on this planet for the next 10,000 years. And it's when a tribe of Indo-Aryans migrated into Egypt, pretending to be shepherds who were settling along the Nile River. They were actually an invading warrior army. And after enough of them had gathered into the region, and the Egyptians had become complacent and comfortable with their presence there, they say, well, they just shepherds. They ain't bother nobody. Just leave them alone. Let them sit out there. And so more and more and more of them came into the region and settled up along the Nile. And then one day they threw off their robes and attacked Egypt. And our ancestors were still fighting with leather shields, sharp sticks, or rather spears, bow and arrow, and rocks and slings. The most primitive stuff you could possibly fight with, and that's what the Egyptian army met them with. But the invaders were wearing bronze armor, they had bronze swords, bronze shields, and rode into battle on horse and chariot. They cut through our ancestors like hot butter, swinging their rocks and sharp sticks against bronze armor. It was a total wipeout. And that's why the people of Egypt right now today look nothing like the dark-skinned people who built it and the dark-skinned people who are painted all over the walls. Okay? That's why they don't look the same. That's not white people with a tan. Those were black people. All right? They weren't the dark jet black people of Kush that came into the region later. They actually do have paintings of people with black skin, but the majority of them are painted with this kind of a reddish brown skin. Those are the Egyptians. And then when they show the people with the dark skin, those are the people from Kush, or what they call Ethiopia, who had come up into the region, and then they would fight back and forth for dominance over the region. And there was times when the Kushites ruled it, and there was times where the Egyptians ruled it. Well, I'm getting off into some stuff now. See, I be trying to hold back, man. I try not to go into all of that, but yeah, I'm gonna do it. We're gonna go into it at some point, but that leads into other things, and I don't go into that because when you start getting in them branches, at some point you start to touch into religion, the origins, the roots, the real stuff of where these religions came from. Is based on a lot of what I just told you, so we're not ready for that yet. But anyway, I'll do it. We'll get into it at some point, though. We're just, we're not there yet. So anyway, because of that situation, that's why even now in 2022, you're mailing your old gold out to white people in exchange for a few dollars. That's why they have the position of supremacy, okay? Because they have the intelligence and the knowledge and the skills to melt it down and turn it into a $30,000 brick in less than maybe an hour or two. But you don't even have the equipment to do it, which only costs $250. All right? So how do those connect? Because if our ancestors had mastered the art and science of metallurgy, then they would have been able to fight the invading Indo-Aryan armies using steel weapons and armor instead of just sharp sticks and leather shields. We would have had swords and shields, just like they did. It would have been an even battle. And you might still have dark-skinned people ruling and living in Egypt right now today. It might be almost like what you saw in the Black Panther movie, kind of Wakanda. It may have been a modern day Wakanda. Had black people stayed there and embraced the sciences and the arts and developed into weaponsmiths and blacksmiths and steel makers and bronze forger, being able to sculpt the bronze into a shield or a helmet. Had they done it and kept that going on, then we would have been working in the metals and metallurgy now for about over 5,000 years. 5,000 years of experience doing anything, you are going to be a master at it. And had they done that, think where we would be today if they had started it back then, but they didn't. So in essence, they were crushed because they were still in the Stone Age, while the ones that was invading them was in what is called the Bronze Age. Bronze Age versus Stone Age, Bronze Age wins every time. Okay? So, we had a lot of people back then. It was millions and millions of them. And if all of them had been outfitted like that, it would have been a wipeout. But they didn't know how to do it. They weren't into metallurgy. And so right now, today, Africa still sitting up there with dirt roads and buildings made out of mud and dirt. And then they have the cities, but they didn't build those big cities that are in Africa. The French and the British have been going over there. They built all of that shit up over there, okay? And so right now today, Africa is asking China to come in now and help them to build up their infrastructure. And they're all upset because the Chinese are coming over, cussing them out, disrespecting them, spitting on them, calling them filthy dogs and ugly monkeys and telling them that your whole city, your nation stinks and your people stink and the city stinks and we hate being here. We don't want to be here. So they're doing business deals and making these deals with the, I guess you could say, the rulership of China. But when they send the workers over here, workers don't want to be bothered with it, but they're doing their job. So they go over there because that's the job, and they're going over to get the money. But they really don't want to be bothered, so they come over and then they are dogging those Africans out, man. I mean, they disrespecting them, cussing them out, treating them like a dog, man. And then one of the things they say to them all the time is, how did you let your country get like this? Why haven't you built your country up in all of this time? Why haven't you done more with it than what you've done? Now we got to come over and clean you up.
政府办事的效率太低，我们就是跟政府谈，这都谈了，在春节左右的时候就开始谈，现在已经半年了，到现在都没有一个明确的答复。按说是你们受欧洲国家管理这么长时间，应该是学到了很多先进的管理经验。
哪有多时间？没有多时间呢。我们炒要那个国经济啊，很炒。现在是50年了，第几50年那个？就是
50年以前，你不是都受他们
50年以前什么都好啊。
是啊，那个先进的影响，这个代代往传下来，越传越文明越发达了，怎么越来越倒退，越落后了？把原有留下的东西根本都没有更加的爱护保护去利用它，反而都遭到毁灭性的重创，就成了这样子的话。只有慢慢经过几代人，就是中国说的那句话：“今人有酒今人醉，明人没酒喝凉水。”就这样子。在这个消费观念上的话，中国人和他们这个刚果人，他们受比利时这个西方影响绝对不同。他们有钱没钱啊，该消费照消费。那潇洒得很，一发工资那几天特别潇洒。比利时人我没有直接接触到，当然我觉得接触他们这些人，因为他受比利时这个影响，应该是我想也是这样子的。男的也是，你得有钱那几天狂得很着嘞，过上几天你二老子回来了，再没几天就开始给你借钱了。其实他们喝酒，让他们说喝酒，他喝不了多少，他就喜欢那个，喝酒吧里喝一喝。屁股扭一扭啊，那这扭屁股这真是一绝啊！这确实是一绝啊！ 身材好看。这样以后这个一顶就进去了，这个粗的这么长的啊！哎，你们真的不是，我叫你拿一个粗的。尤其他们这个黑人开车这个，他们这个开车这个，你看那个他一起不能车轮子在底下打转。他这个铁路线整个都毁掉了，是吧？就是建起来不容易很呢，到处的这个基础设施都很差的。作为一个国家的公民，你不了解你国家的情况。
Avec lui quand on parle, tu crois qu'il y aura l'impression comme ça sur chaque maïdan. Sa façon de parler.
你真的是，你很懒，
你要干什么？
不是我干什么，你都不准备一下，把这盖怎么叠一下子盖一下？你看我都在这做着准备，你这真的是。
And Africans are, I don't know how they feel about it, you know, but I don't think they're not happy about it because there's movies and documentaries being done about it, and they're issuing complaints, and some of those complaints are being on the news about how they're being treated by the Chinese that's coming over there. And we have some black kind of people that's, you know, with social, you know, networkers that are getting on there and saying, look how they're treating the Africans, look at the Chinese, look what they're doing to us. But the Chinese didn't ask to come to Africa. The Africans invited them over to please come help us. So if you have a house and you have to go and get somebody else to come over and help you to clean your house, when they come into your house and see how nasty it is, they're going to say, how the hell did you let your house get like this? What the hell is wrong with you? Why would you let your house get like this? And now you mad at them for disrespecting you in your own house. Come on, man. You can't have it both ways. It don't work like that. We have actually, all of us at some point have asked people, how did you let your house, your car, your situation, your children, your whatever, how did you let it get to this point? We've all asked the question. So now when the Chinese come over and ask the Africans, now they mad. You had 5,000 years to get it together, man. Come on. I know you had invading armies and the British and the French and everybody was coming, but had you have developed metallurgy and science back during the time when the decision was being made, when everybody else was first getting into it, had you got into it, they wouldn't have been able to come over there and do anything. So, this is what happens. You can't stay down on the bottom and just say, I'm comfortable here and let's just maintain our 3,000-year-old traditions. You can't do it. And if you do, you make yourself just into a target. All right? So, the Africans didn't know anything about metallurgy and technology back then any more than you do right now today. So when the invaders showed up, they were helpless. Did you even know that it was called metallurgy? The art of manipulating metals and forging new metals out of old metals and blending metals to create new metals. Did you know that was called metallurgy? See? Did you hear at the end of the gold video where the guy said he was going to send the gold brick out for further chemical treatment? He didn't explain what he was doing. He just said he was going to do something. He didn't go into what it is. What he's doing, what he's talking about is called smelting, which is where the brick is melted down again and using certain chemicals and processes, and then all of the junk that's in the metal, the impurities of the metal, are removed, leaving only pure gold. That's why that brick that he showed you looked kind of misshapen and junky, and because it still had the impurities in it. He's going to send it out for refinement. That's what he's talking about. And they're going to smelt it. Okay? And then that's the difference between 14 karat gold, 18 karat gold, and up to 24 karat gold, which is 24 karat gold is 100% gold. The lower the carat, the more impurities in the gold. and that's why it's cheaper. It turns your neck green after a couple months. 24 karat gold is this. What you had with your old junk jewelry was 14 and 18 karat gold. They put all of your junk together and they're going to remove the garbage from it now, okay, and keep the pure gold, and they're going to end up with, it's going to be smaller, but they'll end up with a pure gold by the time it's done. All right. But if you didn't know the word metallurgy, smelting, carats, and all of that, those are the sciences. See? So if you don't know any of it, then there's your white supremacy right there, because they know it, and that's why they're in charge and winning the 4D, the fourth dimension, the 4D hyperdimensional Monopoly game, and our people aren't even 5 squares past the starting point. Check this out.
White supremacy or patriarchy?
No,
how would you
it's white supremacy.
Okay.
White supremacy. That's who it is.
Okay.
Supreme. And if I'm not supreme to you, I'll make you think I am. That's how it works.
So we're not using our economic power.
You don't know, you ain't got no economic power. What economic powers you got, huh? That's bullshit, man. You ain't got no economic powers. Huh? Name them. Name the only building of a black company. Headquarters is downtown. It's Johnny Johnson's, Ebony and Jet. No, in the whole country. There's no other. And he had to get a white boy to fake. And now he lost it. He don't own it no more.
Right, yeah, they had to sell the photo archives.
Huh?
They had to sell the photo archives as well.
They sold everything, man.
Yeah.
Predominantly.
Yeah.
Okay? So you ain't had nothing in this country, they don't want you to have it. Huh?
Yeah. Well, is that part of the game? Like we can have money, but we can't have wealth as black people?
No, that's tricky language, man. My grandma don't know what you just said. You ain't never had no money. Huh? And we don't know nothing about no damn money. Huh? And what money you got, they can take it from you in the morning. Outside of Washington, D.C., there's a huge place they build in that gambling casino. National Harbor. A black man owned all of that. Not just the harbor. That's just 1/10 of the land that he owned. White boy show up one day and say, Mill, we need to talk to you. We got the documents, we're going to buy your land. Him, don't worry about him, that's narcotics. That's the drugs. While you was in the room winking at that waitress, he was putting drugs in your car. So we're fixing to bust you. It's a game.
He's right. It's all a game. They don't even take any of this mess serious, man, because they're playing it against somebody that's not a threat. You know, nobody that they're playing with in these games. So America is really playing Monopoly with the other countries, with China and Russia and Japan, and I could say Australia is kind of somewhat in there, but their connections kind of more go back to Europe as opposed to America. But you know, all these connections are going on. Black people, we just there, all right, on the board. And actually, if you talk to other people in other countries about what our position is in the game, all right, check out what they say in terms of our position. We're not looked at as players of the game, and we're not even players in the Monopoly game, the fourth dimensional, hyper Monopoly game. We're not even players in it. Check out where they say that our actual position is in the game.
Guys, it's Steve from Asian Boss. Like many other Asian countries, South Korea is a relatively homogenous society with a Korean ethnic group accounting for almost 96% of the total population. Recently, a famous black entertainer in Korea made headlines when he recalled instances where he was personally discriminated against because of the color of his skin.
학교 다녔을 때 2호선 타고 계속 왔다 갔다 했거든요. 어떤 아주머님이 빨리 뛰어와서 그 자리에 앉는 거예요. 다리 쫙 펴고 앉지 말라고. 이 까마귀가 한국에서 뭐 하느냐고. 본인의 나라로 돌아가라고. 그런 식으로 그냥 대놓고 차별하는 거예요. 아, 한국 사람들 다 저렇나.
So we thought we'll take this opportunity to find out about Korean people's perception towards black people. Let's see what they have to say. 한국 사회에서 한국 사람들이 흑인에 대해서 어떤 편견이나 선입견을 가지고 있는 것 같나요? 예를 들어서 뭐 어디 출신일지 아니면 뭐 성격은 어떨지 어떤 직업을 가졌을지 등등.
아프리카에서 왔다고 그렇게 생각을 주로 할 것 같고 아무래도 예, 좀 놀리는 약간 그런 것들.
어떤 직업을 가질 수가 있나요?
그냥 예술 예술이거나 힘을 쓰거나 그런 거.
스포츠 같은.
네.
이제 싸우면은 무조건 진다. 뭐 힘이 굉장히 강하다. 제가 이제 농구를 굉장히 좋아하는데 이제 스포츠 같은 걸 해도 이제 굉장히 차이가 많이 나니까 동양인들이랑 그래서 그런 선입견이 가장 강한 것 같아요.
저희 또래는 딱히 그렇게 막 꺼리는 건 없는데 아무래도 부모님 세대가 약간 백인, 흑인 이런 게 좀 있는 것 같아요.
그래서 어떤 식으로 정확하게 선입견이 있어요?
그러니까 막 흑인은 막 위험하다 이런 선입견이 많이 있는 것 같아요. 막 영화에서도 막 총 쏘고 막 마약하고 이런 것 때문에.
혹시 개인적으로 그런 사례를 들어보신 적 있나요?
차별 사례를요?
그냥 길거리만 가다가 흑인 분들이라고 막 많이 쳐다보고 막 흑형 얘기하는 거는 좀 많이 들어봤습니다.
흑인들이 직접 당한 거 뉴스 미디어를 통해서 들은 적은 있는데 직접 본 적은 없어.
어떤 얘기를 들으셨어요? 혹시?
흑인 학생분이 영어학원에서 가르치려고 강사로 그 시험을 보러 갔는데 거기서 우리는 백인 아니면 안 받는다 이래서 그런 글을 봤었어요. 뉴스에서.
실제로 군복무 할 때도 주변 상인들이 그런 편견을 대놓고 이렇게 보여주시더라고요.
놀리는 것 같아요. 굉장히 이제 말을 못 알아듣는다고 생각을 하고 이제 뭐 깜둥이 뭐 깜씨 뭐 이런 식으로 피부색으로 이제 기분 나쁘게 계속 조롱하는 거를 가끔 듣거든요.
아 그래요?
예.
어디서요?
이제 뭐 길거리 다닐 때 뭐 이렇게 흑인분들 지나가면은 뭐 사람들이 이제 얘기하는 게 들리는데 그런 거 가끔씩 듣거든요.
어디서 이런 선입견이나 편견이 오는 걸까요?
흑인에 대한 선입견이요? 글쎄요. 방송이나
미디어요.
미디어에서 어떻게?
왜냐면 막 영화 같은 데서도 좀 막 흑인들이 가난하고 백인들이 다 부자고 엘리트고 이런 영화를 그냥 어릴 때부터 보고 크니까 더 그런 것 같아요.
예, 한국 사람들이 흑인을 가리킬 때 뭐 흑형, 흑누나 그렇게 이렇게 부른다고 하는데 왜 이런 호칭이 생겼다고 생각을 하세요?
아무래도 이제 인종이 다르니까 피부색 때문에 그렇게 붙여진 게 아닐까 싶은데.
근데 왜 굳이 누나, 형?
근데 저는 오히려 더 친근해서 그렇게 편하게 부르려고 흑형 이렇게 하는 것 같아요.
친근하면 좀 누나, 형 이렇게 많이 하니까.
아 그럼 그런 발언이 인종차별적이라고 생각을 해보신 적은 없나요?
네.
아무래도 형이나 누나 같은 경우에는 뭔가 좀 잘한다는 분위기가 있잖아요. 그거에 대해 가지고 비교를 하다 보니까 약간 흑인 분들이 좀 많이 잘하는구나 해가지고 흑인 남성이면 흑형, 여성분이면 흑누나 해가지고 아마 그렇게 호칭이 붙은 것 같습니다.
제가 알기로 그 흑형이란 단어는 이제 흑인들을 비하한다기보다가 이제 흑인들이 보여주는 신체적인 그런 특징들 있잖아요. 뭐 운동을 잘한다든지 탄력성이 좋다든지 이런 것 때문에 조금 더 그들을 많이 갖고 있는 신체적인 우월성? 나쁘다고는 생각을 안 해봤어요.
그런 발언 자체가 인종차별적이라고 생각을 해보신 적은 있나요?
그렇죠. 아무래도 모든 이가 형은 아닐 테고 형 누나가 아닐 테고 하나의 단어만으로 묶어버리는 거잖아요. 그래서 그런 게 조금 차별적인 게 아닌가.
그 피부색 자체에 따라서 이제 색깔이 붙인 거 아니에요, 그 얘기에 대해서. 그래가지고 그거에 대해서 그 사람들이 생각하기에는 자신의 피부색 때문에 이렇게 들리는구나, 이렇게 발언을 하는구나라고 좀 문제가 되는 것 같습니다.
랩을 잘한다. 네, 딱 그 정도 뭔가 예체능에 능한.
평소에는 친구들은 보통 좀 더 힙합이나 아니면 이렇게 좀 더 멋있어 보인다라고 생각하는 친구들도 많은 것 같고 이렇게 마냥 동경하는 친구도 많은 것 같고 또 아니면 조금 약간 다른 인종의 사람들보다 조금 더 다가가기 어려워하는 친구들도 있는 것 같아요.
일반적인 고정관념은 조금은 무섭다라고 생각할 것 같아요. 왜냐하면은 생각하는 문화 자체도 다르고 한국에서 알고 있는 이제 흑인의 문화는 이제 뭐 쉽게 예를 들어서 이제 뭐 총을 소지하고 있다던가 뭐 그런 장면들이 사실상 SNS나 이런 데 너무 유포가 잘 돼 있기 때문에 일단은 조금은 무섭게 생각을 할 것 같아요. 근데 이제 뭐 다양한 문화를 접한 한국인들은 이제 흑인 분들께서 그렇게 무서운 사람이 아니고 좋은 그냥 똑같은 사람이라는 거를 다 알고 있긴 하죠. 정말 사람마다 다르다는 거는 네, 맞는 거.
너무 좋아요. 제 스타일이에요. 간지나요. 갱스터 같아요.
한국 사람들이 본인 생각할 때 그 흑인에 대한 어떤 이미지가 가지고 있나요?
조금 센 이미지? 깡패 이미지? 그런 이미지가 많습니다.
왜 그 깡패 같은 느낌 많으시라고 생각하시나요?
이런 피부색 차이가 조금 센 것 같아요. 좀 세 보이고 아무래도 좀 태닝한 느낌이니까 한국 사람으로 치면 조금 뭔가 성격도 강할 것 같고.
아까 말씀하시는 것처럼 그 흑형이 무슨 뜻인가요? 혹은 그 흑인한테 왜 그 흑형을 하시는 건가요?
일단은 되게 인터넷 문화나 밈처럼 되게 활용이 많이 되기도 하고, 그리고 뭔가 형이라는 단어가 되게 어찌됐든 멋있다라는 한국적 의미라 그래야 되나? 그런 게 있으니까, 그래서 흑인들의 흑을 따서 이제 흑형, 살짝 그런 외국인들이 같은 흑인들을 만났을 때 하는 단어처럼 한국에서 좀 불리는 듯한 그런 친근한 단어 같은 느낌인 것 같아요.
저도 거의 다 좋은 쪽이라고만 생각을 해가지고, 아무래도 흑형들은 막 다 노래 잘하고 막 랩 잘하고 춤도 잘 추고 약간 그런 생각이 다 있어가지고, 좀 사람들이 왜 저 사람은 노래 못하지? 왜 저 사람은 랩 안 하지? 이런 사람들이 되게 많아가지고.
뭐 안 좋은 부분만 말하는 게 아니라 고정관념이라고 하면은 흑인은 힘이 세다. 흑인은 힘이 세다. 빠르다. 뭐 신체적으로 발달이 잘 돼 있다. 뭐 이런 것도 고정관념이라고 할 수 있죠. 뭐 그런 것도 있고, 아까 말씀드렸다시피 뭐 되게 무섭다. 뭐 싸움을 많이 한다. 그다음에 뭐 좋은 부분에서 또 흥이 많고 사람들과 잘 어울린다. 그런 고정관념들, 네, 그런 게 있을 것 같아요.
본인이 생각할 때 이런 고정관념을 어디서부터 시작하는 것 같다고 생각하시나요?
아무래도 뭐 요즘에 SNS, 뭐 페이스북이나 인스타그램 그쪽으로 유포되는 동영상들이 조금 큰 영향을 미치는 것 같아요.
시간의 문제라고 생각을 합니다. 이게 또 교육이 제대로 되고 사람들이 좀 더 다양한 사람들을 만나다 보면은 인식이 자연스레 바뀌지 않을까, 그렇게 생각을 해요.
Okay, so in this game, they have no real challengers. So they just have fun with it at this point. This is just fun for them. They're playing against people who have been running around for the last 2,000 years talking about God's gonna work it out. God's gonna save us. God's gonna crush our enemies. Meanwhile, they're even the ones that told you about this whole God thing. Y'all got that from them during slavery. Actually, before slavery, it went back to Rome. But the Romans took it over to Africa. The Africans got all of that from them. And that's why the Africans already knew about Christianity and God and Jesus during the time when they were turned into slaves. Okay, so then when slavery started, they said, well, they was already Christians. Well, yeah, because they got it from the Romans. And then that got passed down through the slave masters and through the ancestors, and then the ancestors passed it down to your grandparents. Your grandparents passed it down to your mama, and then your mama told it to you. And now you call yourself a Christian, running around talking about God and Jesus. But all of it came out of Europe and out of the minds of people that couldn't stand you, just looked at you as property, just a herd of sheep, something to be dealt and moved around on the market. So they told you whatever they wanted to tell you, and our ancestors accepted it and passed it down, and that's where we got it from. Okay, so again, I'm not telling you my opinion, I'm not making it up. This is the history, this is documented, well documented. This is what happened. And there's even a video. You can see video and hear audio of and they put it in the movies, and they show the slaves that was the only day they had off was on Sunday, so that they could go get that stuff, the Jesus stuff put in their hand. See? So they're the ones that told you, don't fight us back, just let God handle it. And so they didn't fight. There were some rebellions, but overall they didn't just rise up and start, slaughtering all the slave masters, because that was against their religion. See, they said, let God handle it. Love your master. See, that's what they was learning. Turn the other cheek. See? Meanwhile, everybody else all around these Negroes was moving their pieces on down the board. They getting on down the board. They over here waiting on Jesus to do it. See? So Negroes just standing there waiting on a big glowing hand to reach down out of the clouds and do everything for them. And as a result, you haven't moved in hundreds of years. All right? Any movement was done by individuals, not as a group. All right, so they have to be laughing their asses off. This has got to be the funniest thing for them, for anybody that sees this and to see how we have been playing this game. Our ancestors and even the modern day have been playing this game. It's got to be the funniest shit that they've ever seen. I'd be laughing if I was on the other side. If I was in Japan or Korea and I saw Negroes acting like this, I'd just be cracking up laughing. It'd just be the funniest thing, you know, because you just can't believe, like, how can you be that dumb? Like, what's wrong with you? You know, and I guess at some point maybe it goes from being funny to just being kind of sad, and you just hate to see people that just, like somebody just out in the street struggling to get up and they just can't get up and they flipping and flopping around and they twisting, like the ones when they get tased and they just twist and flop around like a fish out of water. So that's got to be what black folk look like now on a global stage. You know, everybody up doing their thing and building up their civilizations. In the previous video, I showed you Singapore, what Singapore are doing. They got to be looking at black folk, man, and just being like, man, that's just sad. At this point, it's just sad. So, you know, we play these video games. We play against somebody, and the one that we're playing against, they might make stupid mistakes and set us up for an easy win. And that's when the game is really the funniest thing in the world, because we love just to mock and laugh and make fun of them for doing stupid stuff in the game. Like, man, you lost that game yourself. That was hilarious. Oh my God, I couldn't believe you did that. And it's hilarious. And so we have a good time watching people lose on their own without us really having to intervene. It's hilarious.
I'm gonna stay for it until you know what I'm saying? What's going on here? This shouldn't be possible. Oh, bitch! Bitch! Oh, shit! God damn it!
So, while our ancestors were crawling around on their hands and knees and crying and begging to God, please, 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 their enemies were mastering the arts and the sciences and taking over the world. All right. So whose fault is that? Because even today, a lot of us like to say, well, they didn't teach us that in school. They wouldn't hire me at that job. But wait, you know, they don't have to hire you or teach you a damn thing. Nothing. Look, our people got to get out of this jacked up mindset where so many of us seem to believe that white folks are somehow obligated to take care of us and teach us everything we need to know. Do you realize how insane that sounds? One minute our people are out here marching and rioting and trying to burn down stores that we think are owned by white people, but then they'll flip later on and complain that whites didn't teach us this in school and didn't teach us that. Look how we're misled by the information that they give us. But in a game, you can't ask your opponent for help, information, and advice. It's a game. They are against you. They are not your friend. They are not trying to be your friend in the game. All right? How can so many of us not have understood that? You might even say, I don't want to play the game. I just want to be left alone. Well, too bad, because you were playing the game from the day that you took your first breath. Welcome to planet Earth. You may not have known you were playing it, and you may have always been losing, but you have always been playing it your whole life. That's what it is. And that's what it's always been about. Big Gregory called it correctly, a game. But we weren't always losing. There was a time when we were winning and had a chance to dominate the whole board, to dominate the planet. Okay? But unfortunately, our ancestors are well documented as some of the most arrogant, self-important bastards to ever walk the planet. And when they were in power, they threw away their chances to dominate, to continue dominating and ruling. So how do I know? Hell, how self-important and arrogant do you have to be to sell your own people into slavery? That says it all right there. Not to mention that when the invaders showed up in Egypt in 1600 BCE, some of our Egyptian ancestors were willing to side with them also and to help them overthrow Egypt. It was black. They didn't just come in and do that. There was black people that was willing to help the Indo-Aryans to come in and to dominate and take over Egypt. And they got positions of authority over the other Egyptians in return for it. So you had your sellouts back then, you had your sellouts right now today, and that shouldn't be too much of a surprise to you, not when you consider who shot Malcolm X. Who were the secret undercover agents infiltrating all of the black organizations? Who destroyed the Black Panthers from within the organization, acting as snitches and spies? See? These are all self-inflicted wounds, man. And that's the foundation of white supremacy. Is you can just stand back and watch people implode and turn on each other and stab each other and cut each other and lie, and each one trying to run forward, and then the other one grab his foot and drag him back, and then they fighting because they each one trying to get up to the little bit closer to the finish line. But in the meantime, nobody can move because everybody is just holding each other back and throwing each other against the wall and stabbing each other, and cutting each other and shooting each other. And I'm going first. No, I'm going. No, you're not going. And so then some of you all will make a deal. Well, I'll help you get up there if you help me get up there. All right, cool. And y'all take a couple steps and start moving a little faster, and then you start pushing each other. And now y'all done started knocking each other around because he went a little bit faster than what you felt like he should have been going. So now he got to get pulled back too. And so so nobody ever gets up to the line because y'all so busy scraping and scrapping. But when white folks play, they build tracks to the finish line, and then they work together to build the train, and all of them get on that train and ride on across the border and get up there and win the whole damn game while y'all sitting back here scrapping and beating each other's brains in. Because how dare he move a little faster than you, or she, get up and get a couple steps ahead of you and look back at you, and it looked like maybe she was making fun of you, so you jump on her and then you drag her back. You'll never win. And it's funny to the ones that are winning. Okay? So the majority of what we're dealing with, we are suffering from self-inflicted wounds. And that's the foundation of white supremacy. If I want to dominate you, and you're willing to give me everything you own, and give me your women, and give me your relatives, and fight my enemies for me, and I decide that I want to have a war, and then you join my army and help me to go fight my wars, and then I give you a God, and now your God even looks like me. Hell, I am supreme at that point, and you made me that way. So as you can see, these lowly gutter positions that our people have been dwelling in were well earned. You can get mad at white folk all you want, but all their power came from us and our ancestors who laid down on the ground and demanded the right to eat at white folks' restaurants instead of asking to build their own restaurants, and sleep in white folks' hotels instead of asking to build their own hotels. Our ancestors never demanded government funding to build their own businesses or to be tax-free because we had already paid through slavery. We should never have to pay taxes again for the rest of our existence on this planet. We paid enough taxes over the last 400 years of slavery that we should never have to pay another tax for as long as we live. Okay? But that'll never happen. All right? And they never asked for any of that. That wasn't what they demanded. They demanded the right to sit in the same toilet with white folk. They demanded the right to be able to eat in white folks' restaurants. They demanded the right to be able to sleep in their hotels, and they demanded to be able to send black children to white schools. Then later complained that whites aren't teaching blacks anything that blacks can use. You send your child to a white school and then say y'all not teaching the black curriculum. Y'all sound like some idiots, man. So whose fault is all of that? See? Black ignorance is white supremacy all day long. When white folks finally opened the doors and let black folk come into their stores and hotels, they started making 10 times what they had been making in terms of profit. And black folks said, yay, we won. When you're that dumb, they become supreme by default. You threw the game. You're not even in the game. You're not even playing at that point. You're not even playing the game anymore. You just moving pieces around. You're just out there. All right. When somebody can buy some old gold off of you for $20, they're supreme and you a fool. When your number one leader is an FBI agent and you marching around in circles with a sign after your child just got gunned down, you're a fool playing hopscotch with your thumb in your mouth while they rule supreme over you. See, I think we should do one more. You think? Let's do one more. Let's make it a good one. One more. The Woman King. You didn't really think I was gonna let that shit slide, did you? Come on, man. All right? Hell no. Hell no. But look, I'm gonna save that one for part 2. I said I wasn't gonna do any more part 1 and part 2 and all of that, but I'm gonna do it a little different than before. We're not gonna follow the old format and take a video and split it. It's gonna be a whole separate video presentation, so this one here, we get to the end of this one and then this is done, and then that one's gonna be a whole new thing, but it's gonna be tied to this one in terms of carrying over the topic. All right. Yeah, I don't want to wear out my audience with a 5-hour video. All right. So part 2 is going to be a whole separate video with a different title and everything, and you ain't gonna have to wait long. All right. So I'm gonna drop it on Friday, and so you'll have a good movie to watch over the weekend. Get you some pizza. Get a notepad and set it next to you so you can jot down and take some notes. That's gonna be a good night right there, man. I'm telling you. So, in fact, I'm no longer calling these episodes. These are lessons now. These are lessons. Season 1, lesson 2, lesson 3, lesson 4. All right. So I told you in my intro, this is gonna be a little different over here than other videos that you might be used to watching. So now you see it. You see, we doing some things over here. It's a little different. So anyway, check back this Friday. We got to set a good time. I'm going to say by 7 p.m. part 2 will go live on a Friday. All right. So have your food and your green tea and your notepad ready, because you ain't going to believe how bad they got you on that movie. All right. And on that note, I say to you, peace.